everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Brooke Grimsley and Danny Mack and Matthew Rocc. I'm Randy Carricker. It is great to have you with us here on 101 ESPN on a Thursday morning. Happy Friday Eve, everyone. Oh, by the way, I think it was like 65, 66 degrees and sunny in St. Louis yesterday, like golf weather. Tomorrow's going to snow.
Wait.
We got snow over the weekend.
Is this our second alert weather that you were bringing up?
We need breaking news. Second alert weather, yes. 60% chance of snow tomorrow. Going to get down to 19 degrees on Saturday, and it's just St. Louis.
What?
It's just St. Louis. But the Cardinals are down in spring training, and spring training is underway. Good morning, Daniel. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
I'm just doing wonderfully.
I'm doing great until you just told me it was snowing tomorrow.
Yeah. It's a second alert weather day here in St. Louis.
Did you get out and play some golf yesterday?
I did not. I was running around. So I found out that I have this thing. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've had trouble seeing stuff. And I went and played golf on last Friday. And I thought I was just hitting the ball really far because I couldn't see it. And so I a month and a half ago, I had run... Okay, I'm stupid, okay? Let's lay this out. I'm stupid. I was lifting the lift gate on my car. It's an automatic lift gate, and it ran into my face. And I scratched my cornea. I had a corneal abrasion in my eye. And so my right eye vision has been getting blurrier and blurrier, and I thought it was a result of the corneal abrasion. So I go to my doctor yesterday, Dr. Tom Cullinane over at Optical Expressions, and Judy Miles. They do great work. And I said, I think that this thing is just getting bad. I think it's really getting irritated. And they start looking. First of all, he holds my glasses. I was seeing great a month ago. He holds a paddle up to my left eye, and he says, "What's that say?" He gives you a chart. And I said, I can't. It's all blurry. I can't see anything. How about this one? Bigger. I can't see anything. How about this one? Bigger. So I could finally read like an O and an E, but they were huge, but they were still super blurry. And they look at my eye, and I have this thing called uveitis. My daughter had uveitis when she was in second grade through like last year. She's been dealing with it for a long time. It is an inflammation of the eye. And so that, Dan, is what I did yesterday rather than play golf. I had to get my eye diagnosed, and now I have to do an eye drop every 2 hours, a steroid eye drop, prednisone, and hopefully that will alleviate some of the inflammation that I have in my eye. But the point is I'm a physical mess.
Do you know that if you wear a particular, like regular sunglasses, that it's bad for golf?
I did not know that.
You should wear golf-specific sunglasses. It can throw off a little. So you can blame that if you have a bad day at the golf course. Say, I had my regular sunglasses on. I was just maybe a tenth of an inch off.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
I like that tip. Now, what'd you guys think of my thought that, man, I'm just hitting the ball so well, I can't see it at all?
That's honestly a nice approach. Yeah, I think that's a good approach because confidence is key.
So that's what I did yesterday. Here's what we got coming up on the show. Greg Amsinger is going to join us at the bottom of this hour. We're going to talk to our friend, the Hall of Famer, Bernie Federko. Blues and Oilers tonight here on 101 ESPN. 6 o'clock pregame, 7 o'clock faceoff. Jeremy Rutherford, is going to join us. And Dan Rolfes and the Incarnate Word basketball team they've always been amazing, right? They've been incredible. But they're going for the all-time Missouri record of 124 consecutive wins tonight. So we're going to talk to Dan about that.
It's incredible. Incarnate Word and what they've done and how they churn out great players, some that have made it to the WNBA. He's amazing.
He really is. So we talked a little bit about Steve Wilks before the show. Steve Wilks getting fired by the 49ers, the former Mizzou defensive coordinator, former head coach of the Cardinals, and interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And Kyle Shanahan said, it's really not his fault. I wanted him to come in and completely learn our defense. That, to me, doesn't seem like the best hiring practice for a coach, to have him come in and learn your defense. I always thought the best coaches were the guys that adapted to the talent that they had.
I was very surprised by this move, honestly. I was really shocked that they decided to do this, considering didn't the Niners just make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they did.
And defense was a part of it. Now, I do understand that you could say that the defensive strategy late in the game was a little bit mind-numbing. It was either soft zone or cover zero, but still, at the same time, what did they do during regulation to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs?
Yeah, they allowed 2 touchdowns, right? It was pretty good. It was an exemplary defensive performance. I thought it was interesting, though, because I rewatched the game last night. In the fourth quarter, it was in overtime on a 2nd and 6 when Shanahan called timeout and Tony Romo said he didn't like what he saw there. On defense, San Francisco on defense, they call a timeout.
Hold on, I got a personal question for you, Randy.
Yes,
it was Valentine's Day last night, and you're watching a rerun of the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, it was late. It was late, and so Valentine's Day was that part of it was over. And I had not seen, because I was with Martin Kilcoyne doing his show on Sunday night, and I hadn't seen the fourth quarter and overtime, and I really wasn't interested in watching the Real Housewives show. So yes, I was watching a replay of the Super Bowl.
Did you guys have a good Valentine's night?
I did. So David and I just cooked some steaks and stayed home. It was very nice. We took Stevie out on a walk, and he had some flowers for me, and I also bought him some chocolates. So it was very nice.
Adorable.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Adorbs.
Absolutely.
Totes adorbs.
So,
what about you, Dan?
I had kids' practices.
Oh.
It was
On Valentine's Day?
Kind of like another night. Yeah. I mean, they're not really practicing Valentine's Day when they're youngsters. At least I hope not.
So Steve Wilkes out as the defensive coordinator in San Francisco, and Kyle Shanahan, hey, at least he thought that he had players that could perform better than they did, and so he's going to have a new person there. Spring training, let's do the other thing because we have to, and we are the toy store of life, but sometimes even in the toy store of life, bad things happen, and just a terrible story. 22 shot, 1 dead near the end of the Chiefs parade in Kansas City yesterday. And we hate it. Everybody hates it when reality seeps into our world, our little fantasy world of sports. But it's horrible and it's insidious and it happens every day. And sadly, I think America is hardened to the fact that mass shootings happen all the time. And it's just, there's another mass shooting. And we had the one at the school last year, right? And Kansas City has it now. It hits home when it's in your home. And our prayers are with everybody in Kansas City. But guys, it's just now a part of life in America.
And that shouldn't be the case, and that's what makes this so sad. Yesterday was supposed to be a great celebration, and it was just really heartbreaking to see that news starting to really trickle out at first, because when you start to see it on social media, you're like, wait, is this actually happening right now? Is this really what's going on? And then to find out that it was really true is absolutely devastating. Lisa Lopez, a local DJ there in Kansas City, was one of the people that lost her life. There's many who are being treated at the hospitals, so I just want to say thank you to all the medical professionals who've been working so hard to help those people get back in stable condition. Also the heroes. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but Paul Contreras is the guy who actually tackled the gunman, and he is a hero for doing that. It shouldn't have to be a civilian that goes out of his way to do that, but he made sure that he did the right thing in that moment. You
mentioned how we're hardened, and I think that's the adults. The children are not.
Yeah, and 10 kids, was
10
15
kids.
and under?
Yeah, and this was the 6th year anniversary of Parkland, by the way, down in Florida, that mass shooting as well. So awful news, awful day, and my heart goes out to those folks.
Yeah, and just hope for a recovery, and especially from a mental health standpoint for those 10 youngsters, 15 and under, that were shot. Because every time they're in a crowd now, I would anticipate that they're going to be fearing for their lives. And that's just horrible that's the stage that we've reached in society, that these kids have to go through active shooter drills in school, and now they have an active shooter at what should have been one of the best days of their lives.
Absolutely.
So our thoughts and prayers absolutely with the people of Kansas City, Missouri, and the folks over on the Kansas side, too. Meanwhile, the Cardinals did start spring training yesterday. John Mozeliak and Oli Marmol meeting with the media. And one of the things that I've wondered about, and there's a strong belief, there's people on our station that believe that Sonny Gray is right there as a 34-year-old starter with the likes of Scherzer and Verlander and Carpenter. And so John Mozeliak was asked about Sonny Gray and his viability as a Game 1 playoff starter. Here's the Cardinals Pobo and, well, I guess he's not the GM anymore. He's just the Pobo. It feels like the GM, John Mozeliak.
Very presumptuous.
That you'll make the question?
Right. Like, in terms of, I think, when you sit in my seat or you're part of this team, you know you have to go out and day one start proving yourself. In terms of how you think we're set up for October, I definitely think someone like a Sonny Gray can definitely be, an opener, and take that Game 1, which is, important. I think the overall depth of this team, ability to score runs, getting back to the things that we are traditionally good at, defense, base running, the core. I think, our everyday club feels like it could be a very strong October team.
And yeah, if everything goes right for the Cardinals, there is absolutely no doubt that they could be a strong October team. And I have no doubt that if he's healthy, that Sonny Gray can take the ball for game one of a playoff series. Last year, the Twins gave the ball to Pablo Lopez in game one of their playoff series, but that's an aside. But yeah, Sonny Gray can take the ball for game one of a playoff series.
I think that you meant to say something there by what you just said,
What?
Randy, about Pablo Lopez.
Well, he's better.
Sonny Gray was AL Cy Young runner-up.
That's wonderful. Sonny Gray, you want to know what Sonny Gray has done in September in his career?
Sure.
13-20 with a 4.16 in his career in September, when you have to get to the playoffs, when the pressure is at its highest. I hope, like I said, I hope, like you guys, think that he's Verlander or Scherzer at the age of 34.
I never said that.
I did not say no.
We all hope, though.
I think he can be very good. I don't know if he's going to be great,
Yeah,
but
I agree with that, Dan.
The thing that I took out of the soundbite was Mo saying, you got to read into Mo's sound bites. He does say things without saying them.
Yes.
But he talked about getting back to fundamentals. And we're in the first day of spring training, and you're talking about, is this guy number one for the postseason? Well, hell, you got to get there first.
Yeah, he said that's presumptuous. And Benjamin Hockman, our friend from the Post-Dispatch, asked the question.
And so you got to get there first. First day of spring training. So much can happen between now and the playoffs if they get there. But what I took away from that was fundamentals, base running, defense, and the things that they have to work on as they move forward here in spring.
And that's what Ollie Marmol mentioned yesterday, too, is that's the big focus, which, I mean, I think that it might sound silly to some that they would be really reiterating that during spring training. But what is something that we saw last season? We saw them fall apart with their fundamentals. The little details seem to really just add up to the point where it was just disastrous for them last season. So you want to hear that they are really, really focusing on the fundamentals. Randy, I thought of you yesterday when I heard Ollie say that.
Well, I had a long discussion with Ollie about that late last season, and he's a big guy on fundamentals. He really is. And they aren't excuses. The reasons for the Cardinals' lack of fundamentals are many-fold for last season. Obviously, the injuries had something to do with it. Not having his players during spring training, during the World Baseball Classic were part of it. But at the end of the day, and I told him, I said, I got the Bill Parcells thing going. Don't tell me about the labor. Just show me the baby. And he said, yeah, I understand. Because the bottom line is the bottom line with the ball club in terms of fundamentals. They just have to perform better.
You want to play something, don't you?
It is.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Is. Yeah. Dan, with what you're saying, this is very, very early on here.
I mean, when you're asking who's the game one starter in the playoffs, I think we're a little putting the cart ahead, or the horse, or what is it, the cart ahead of the horse?
Yeah.
Bit,
Yeah.
But they're obviously, because they're giving the guy $25 million a year. And that, to me, is a question that really doesn't need to be asked. Do you think...
I'd say 3 weeks from now, if you're asking who's your game one starter in the regular season,
that's a problem.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with, Sonny Gray looks to be on track.
Yep.
We're going to build his arm up for that. We're going to put him in a position where he's going every fifth day, and his fifth day is going to fall on when they face Yamamoto.
To me, the more interesting thing that I think that people should be looking at that is going to affect the bigger or the start of the season is the fact that they're toying with the idea with a six-man rotation. Now, before I say this, whoa, I know that when you hear six-man rotation, people start to freak out on social media, but it's more about because of how hectic the early part of their schedule is at the beginning there. And this is a huge opportunity for Zach Thompson and Matthew Liberatore. That's what I'm looking for, to see who can really possibly take that spot in this opportunity.
I am too. I mean, to me, it's so early. Just wait till they start playing some games. Wait to see if guys are healthy. Wait to see who's in the rotation.
That's the big one.
I think, though, with the six-man rotation, I'm okay with that. I especially early with the travel schedule and the way that the games will unfold early on. It makes some sense to me.
It will be interesting to see how everything does unfold for this edition of the Cardinals. It is the opening drive on 101 ESPN coming up. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho!
Yo-ho.
What are you sick of? We've got Sick of It coming your way here on 101 ESPN.
Okay, so you filed your taxes this year, but you know you have past IRS issues. And now the IRS letters are coming. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. Don't ignore those IRS letters. They're important and give you rights and deadlines to defend yourself. Waiting could cause you to lose those rights. Call the Lance Story Law Firm now and let us help you get ahead of the IRS and defend your rights while you still have time. The Lance Story Law Firm is located here in St. Louis, so take the first step and hire a tax resolution attorney. We've made it super easy to schedule your free consultation in person, or you can do a phone call and save travel time. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm. Call today at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, or go visit LanceDRURYLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Finish first during the Race to Savings sale at Menards. Be ready for your next project with NASCAR champion number 12 Ryan Blaney Performance Work Gloves. Just $4.99 per pair after rebate. Keep your vehicle running great with FVP Stay Tuned Multi-System Fuel Additive. A 16-ounce can is free after rebate. Good through February 18th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details on all the great deals.
Save big money at Menards.
Open up your 101 mobile app for your chance to win free tickets to see the Doobie Brothers. With special guest Steve Winwood on Saturday night, August 24th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Get all the ticket details and get entered to win those free tickets for the Doobie Brothers right now, either at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
Time for Sick of It here on 101 ESPN. And kids, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, first of all. So here's one question for you. The Kansas City Chiefs were on national TV as a standalone game 7 different times during the 2023 season. They were in the national window at 325 another 7 times. They played 3 games that were not standalone games. Yet, people here in St. Louis believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are being shoved down their throat. If the Kansas City Chiefs are being shoved down our throats, ergo, are they not being shoved down America's throats?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, take
thing.
it.
And here's another thing. And I don't want to call anybody stupid. I will call you ignorant of a situation, okay? I'm sick of people thinking that Clark Hunt could have stemmed the Jerry Jones steamroller in the relocation process. If you think Clark Hunt was the person behind the Rams moving out of St. Louis to Los Angeles, you are ignorant of the situation and need to do a lot more reading. That was all about Jerry Jones and Roger Goodell and Eric Rubin. And we have the reason that I bring this up is that we have a text right here. So somebody that thinks that Clark Hunt, because of his vote in the relocation committee, was against the Rams being in St. Louis and voted just so that he could have St. Louis. How do you feel? Okay, we've got 4 people in the room. Did Clark Hunt thank St. Louis when he was on the podium on Sunday night? If he did, I missed it. Did he? Because this is his market, right? How did the Chiefs actually get this market? Sure, their games are on the radio here. I don't know how many people listen to their games on the radio. Everybody in America is getting Chiefs games. So how is this a Chiefs market? How is this any different than Peoria being a Bears market or a Cardinals or Cubs market, where it's the closest market to a not closest, but closest good team to a non-NFL market? That's the way things work. If you are in Fresno California, you're right in between. You're probably either Rams or 49ers country, but they have stuff. And you know who they're going to choose? They're going to choose the best team. Right? That's what happens. The reason that you feel like the Chiefs are being shoved down your throat is because they're good.
Yeah. Well, and also you think about kids. What do they gravitate towards? Exciting players.
Yep.
And think about how many Brett Favre fans that there were for the Packers for so long just because he was so exciting. Matthew, were you a fan of Brett Favre? Because you're around that generation.
Brett Favre was the first football player I was ever a fan of.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I was obsessed with Brett Favre until I was 18 years old.
So you have a lot of kids who are going to gravitate towards the player. They don't necessarily know the background of which team they like. They just like the exciting player. And guess what? Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. And Randy, this texter said that you're a traitor to St. Louis. That is the most ridiculous statement I have ever heard in my entire life. You can go and on YouTube and Google Randy's speech about the St. Louis Rams and how you were advocating for them to stay here in St. Louis.
Well, yeah. And there is nuance to situations, and people don't understand how the NFL works. But one of the reasons that the NFL does work is because Pete Rozelle and John Mara, the Wellington Mara, late owner of the Giants, came up with a term for the league called League Think. And this started when Wellington Mara was willing to give up his TV money and share it with markets like Green Bay so that everybody has an opportunity. And throughout the course of history, since 1960, NFL votes have pretty much been landslide votes. Most of them have been for anything, whether it's a rules change or an ownership or the Rooney Rule. Pretty much every single vote the NFL takes is a landslide vote, and most times it's a unanimous vote because they want to be on the same page. And so once the horse was out of the barn with the Rams and either the Chargers or the Raiders going to L.A., everybody voted for it because it was a fait accompli. That's just the way it works in the NFL, for better or worse.
I agree with you. Randy, you are definitely an advocate for St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to put that out there.
I'm a St. Louis, and that's again, if somebody thinks that I'm a traitor to St. Louis, they're again either misinformed or highly emotional. And I get being highly emotional. It's that they don't have their team, but the person to blame is Jerry Jones. What you need to do is get after all of your Cowboy fan friends.
Exactly.
Now, he did vote, though, Mr. Hunt, for them to relocate, correct?
Yes, he did, with the rest of the league.
Yeah. So I think that's where the frustration comes from. If you're going to be mad at him, be mad at the rest of the league.
Right, because if he votes for... And by the way, he's considered one of the league leaders. That's why he was on the relocation committee in the first place. And the league leaders all voted to support the project that was placed in front of them, the Inglewood project. But if it's 29-3 or 30-2, what difference does it make? The Rams are moving.
Well, speaking of being highly emotional, since we're doing sick of it, you know what I'm sick of, guys, is Fanatics. What in the world is going on with Fanatics and the Cardinals jerseys? Of course, you guys have seen this all over social media. They don't look good whatsoever. And even a lot of the players have spoken out against it. Now, this is a collaboration with Fanatics and Nike. And Jeff Jones of the Belleville News-Democrat, this is what the back of the jersey looks like with the new template. Players are pretty unhappy. Miles Michaelis says they also don't fit right. Pants are no longer as customized, and the fabric is very different consistency-wise. They look cheap, another player said. And you've seen the videos on social media of what this looks like. Guys, I don't like the look of it whatsoever. So I am sick of Fanatics continuing to just kind of barge their way into professional sports like this and really ruin the jerseys.
I would imagine the leagues are not sick of the checks that come their way.
And that's what it is.
So put it on their backs, and that's what they're going to have to deal with. I thought that and correct me, guys, I'm probably wrong, but I thought the spring training jerseys or uniforms were specifically for spring training and would not be worn in the regular season, especially as much as Bill DeWitt III has put time and energy to perfect what he thinks is the best uniform in sports. And I agree. It's a gorgeous uniform. It's one of the probably top 3 or 4. But the back of the names look different. It looks like you go off of like a rack in a sporting goods store and grab it there. It does look a lot different.
It looks very cheap. It just reminds me of, remember, NHL with Fanatics and how there was such an uproar when they signed last year. It just looks bad for whatever reason. The numbers look jumbled up. I don't like the way that it looks whatsoever.
It's called the Nike Vapor Premier uniform, and they're going to be worn during the spring and the 2024 regular season.
All right. I am sick of Travis Kelce getting off the hook with his bump of Andy Reid. Now, do things happen in practices where players go after each other? Yes. Do players sometimes get in the face of a coach and voice their opinion? Yes. But you cannot bump or really aggressively bump your head coach. If this was a special teams guy, he gone. But this Travis Kelce. So rules for him. He's a future Hall of Famer, but man, I can't believe there hasn't been more made of it in a manner in which that can't be done. You can't do that. I don't care what stage you're on, you can't do it.
The thing is that both Kelce and Reid say that that's part of their relationship. There's video out there of Reid checking Kelce too. And both said that that's just the way that their relationship works. I know it's weird, but Reid had no problem with it. Apparently, he said he laughed about it after the game on Sunday, and he said right after that, when the cameras weren't on Kelce, he went over to him and hugged him and said, "Hey, I love you and I need you."
I think he diffused it beautifully.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
And if they would have lost, boy, that would be one of the their dysfunction on the sideline. There's guys getting after each other, but they won. So to their credit, all is good in Kansas City Chiefs land.
As Kerry Davis says about Mike Tomlin says, I'd rather have to tell my players whoa than sick them. And Travis Kelce's one of those guys.
I sent you a video, Brandy, of Brian Arakpo, which you guys remember Brian Arakpo of the Titans, right? That is a big dude. And he did that to Mike Mularkey on the sidelines once. I do understand both sides of this, because at first I just said, okay, it's part of the game. But then you see it replayed over and over again. And it's important to note that Travis Kelce on the New Heights podcast that he has with his brother Jason, that he admitted that he was in the wrong in that situation. Jason kind of called him out on that and that he needed to do better. Now, the other side of this, too, is that Travis Kelce knows how much attention is on him right now. And when you're talking about setting a good example, that's probably not the best look.
And you're a Hall of Fame tight end. You're going to get away with a lot more than the guy that's running down the field on special teams.
No doubt. And there are teams out there where the fans would love it if the player would knock out the coach.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could think of a few.
Matthew, you got a couple from the text line for us?
Take it or leave it. Randy's missing the point. We're all talking about the 6 owner vote, not the large owner vote.
Well, still, even if his vote, which was very logical, by the way, his thought process in making the 6 owner vote was he didn't think from a business standpoint that Los Angeles could support one team, let alone 2. And he's been proven right about that. And that vote was 5-1, and that committee vote went to the ownership, the 32 owners, and for the first time in the history of the league, a committee vote was overturned. Even if it was 5-1 or 6-0, again, Jerry Jones was going to steamroll it. I don't know why you're thinking that Clark Hunt had more juice in the room than Jerry Jones did. Jerry Jones, but the morning of that vote, I went over to Ian Rappaport and of NFL Network, and I said, man, here in St. Louis, we're just hoping for a miracle. And Ian said, you're going to need one. It was done. It was a done deal that morning before anything happened. Go read Seth Wickersham's piece at ESPN.com about that day, and you'll learn a lot more, and it'll benefit you.
Sick of Randy's bashing of Sonny's postseason stats when a guy like Chris Carpenter never pitched in the postseason before he got to STL. Pitchers can turn into number 1 starters. His stuff, approach, and mindset is completely different now than it was earlier in his career.
Like I said, I appreciate your love of Sonny Gray, and I hope he does become Chris Carpenter. But normally that doesn't happen to 34-year-old pitchers.
And he's averaged over the last 3 years 146 innings, I believe. That would be my concern. And you're right, mid-30s, something to consider. But the numbers from last year do jump off the page, so you got to give him credit for that to see if it carries over this year.
Chris Carpenter's age 34 season, he was 17-4, led the league with a 2.24 earned run average, and was second in the Cy Young voting. If Sonny Gray gives us that at age 34, I will be very, very happy.
I think everybody in the room can agree that we were hoping they would at least add one more starter, somebody who could be that number 1 guy at the front end of your rotation.
I think the Cardinals assume that Sonny Gray is the number 1 and then find complementary pieces, which they did. Try to make sure they have innings. We'll see how it plays out, though. I'm taking a wait-and-see approach with the whole thing.
You kind of have to after last season, huh?
Yes.
By the way, the Cardinals did only go 18-10 in Carpenter's starts in 2009, and Sonny Gray last year won 14. They won 14 of his games in his age 33 season. But yeah, if you believe that Sonny Gray at 34 can be what Chris Carpenter was at 34, more power to you. And I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong.
I'm a teacher, and I'm sick of parents sending their kids to school when they know the kid is sick. Don't get me sick just because you don't want to keep your kid at home. Sick of it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yep.
Especially in the post-COVID era. I say post. There's COVID still going all over the place. Got to be careful.
Yeah, you do. COVID is still here. It's happening.
Yep.
Yes, I agree, because I was definitely the kid that got sick very easily. Dan, something you'll learn about me that Randy learned last year is if there's something going around, I will 100% catch it.
It allows you to stay home then. Then you can sleep
She's
in.
a gamer, though. Look, as a gamer.
I am. I'm a gamer. I don't like to take a lot of sick days, but if it is really bad, it will not come in if I'm contagious.
There you go.
Promise.
Good.
I promise, Dan.
Right.
Thank you, Matthew. And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate them. Coming up, Greg Amsinger, MLB Network on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. St. Louis Blues back in action on this side of the border, facing off against the Edmonton Oilers at Enterprise Center. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 6 p.m. And more Blues talk comes up on the opening drive later today. Bernie Federko, the Hall of Famer, joins the show at 8:15, whereas the Athletics' Jeremy Rutherford joins the show at 9:15. Coming up right now, they're talking baseball with MLB Network's Greg Amsinger. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Dan McLaughlin, Randy Carricker, and we go to the celebrity line, and the great Greg Amsinger, product of the Lindenwood University, native of St. Louis, lead anchor for MLB Network, joins us now here on 101 ESPN. Good morning, Greg. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Do you mind if I ask you a question, Randy?
Fire away, brother.
Did you ever go tanning?
Never, not once.
No. I did that. That was like an in vogue thing to do, like back in the day, and I did it, and I'm looking at myself right now. I am so white. that I think I might need to before I go to Arizona. I'm going to fry. This is the pastiest, most unhealthy looking I think I've ever looked. This winter has been so bad, the sun has not touched my skin at all.
Okay, so will you go into one of those tanning booths, go into one of those cylinders like an MRI machine? Is that what you would do, the big 6'5" fella being in that cylinder?
I did that back in the day, and those things were gross. They smelled terrible. What do they do now? It's like a spray, right? Like I don't even know if that is that weird. Is the spray weird?
Yes, it is. It's weird, and it turns you orange. Apparently,
is Dan McLaughlin in the room? Because I know he's had a spray tan before.
Never spray tan, but I will tell you that my daughters. They have the spray tan nonstop, so you may want to look into that. But if you start sweating, you do start sweating the tanner off. I know way too much about this, but that's something to think about as you move forward.
I am a sweater, Dan, so that would be bad.
Yes,
that would be a bad look.
I'd say you might want to be a little careful.
I knew the answer was in the room. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, for sure. I'm glad we're talking about this at 7:36. This is important.
Greg, I've also gotten spray tans before, especially for special occasions. So what Dan said is very true. You don't want to be sweaty whatsoever because then it will be a very bad look and probably scare a lot of people. And make sure that you lotion up your elbows and knees so that you don't, and your hands, because then you don't want orange hands. You might scare some people at spring training.
Yeah.
The men that are listening to this right now, you're welcome. You're welcome. This is all stuff you wanted to know, but you didn't have the courage to ask.
Exactly.
And I'll take this one for the team.
Well, Greg, I want to get your thoughts on this. We were just talking about the Nike and Fanatics collab, and it seems like some Major League Baseball players have split opinions on it. What have you thought of the jerseys?
You know, to me, when you mess with jerseys, it is like you're asking for griping. You're asking for complaining. It's just like changing baseball. If you're going to make a rule change, more than likely the majority of people are going to be upset with it, right? So when you start toying with iconic home jerseys, good luck getting everyone on board to say, man, I love it. It's not going to happen. So this is rolling out exactly how I thought it was going to roll out, where everyone was going to go, man, this isn't good. Why are we changing this? I love the birds on the bat. Don't mess with the good thing. It's part of the evolution of the game. Is it perfect? No. Will it get better? I think probably, but just understand that this is what's coming. We're going to start tinkering with things. We're putting patches on jerseys. These things are happening in the game. We're just not going to be okay with status quo anymore.
Greg, what are you hearing about Cody Bellinger, and what are you hearing about Jordan Montgomery and trying to find some teams here in spring training?
Well, I got Cody Bellinger and Blake Snell almost in the exact same category. They're fresh off superstar seasons, and they want to get paid that way. Well, the problem is there are so many hiccups on their resume that teams are scared away. And I just don't see a long-term contract for either one of them. I don't think they're going to get the 7 or 8 years that they're demanding that they get. Jordan Montgomery, a bit different, postseason hero, more durable, doesn't have the dominance. But teams are scaling back because there's a lot of contact. And people are wondering, as he ages, is that contact going to lead to more of a Lance Lynn performance? Is he more of a left-handed Lance Lynn? And I think teams are a bit hesitant. Could that help the Cardinals? Yes. I think of all the pitchers that are available right now, Jordan Montgomery, if his price comes back, the Cardinals could land him. I don't think they're in any way considering Blake Snell. And name another veteran. Hyun-Jin Ryu. No, I think the only way they would go into the free agent waters again would be with someone that they're comfortable with, and if the price point felt fair to them. Jordan Montgomery is the only guy on the list. Cody Bellinger, I don't know what's going to happen. I think the only team he's got is the Chicago Cubs. As for Blake Snell, I think he's going to take the same approach that Josh Hader took. Josh Hader wanted a record contract for a closer. He wasn't going to get it until a team that was in win-now mode had a season-ending injury to a key cog of their bullpen in Kendall Graveman. So they took an immediate knee-jerk reaction, and they gave Josh Hader what he wanted. I think you're going to see Blake Snell do the same thing. Injuries are inevitable to starting pitchers in spring training. It's going to happen. And, I mean, we're here now, but Justin Verlander's timetable might be pushed back a little bit. there's going to be an injury, and I think Blake Snell is going to get the knee-jerk reaction big contract because of that. So at some point in spring training.
Greg, MLB Network now doing their top 100 players right now, and at the moment the Cardinals have 4 guys that are on the list: Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras, and Gray. Arenado 33, Goldie 36, Gray 49, and Wilson Contreras 82. I'm intrigued that there is not as much love, and I know it's probably a slim margin, but Elly De La Cruz was number 100 and no Jordan Walker on the list. Do you think by next year at this time we're talking about Jordan Walker being in the top 100?
Yes. If Jordan Walker is healthy, he is a top 100 player, without a doubt. What makes Elly De La Cruz make sense, and I really complain an awful lot about our list. Our research department does a great job putting together. They're brilliant men and women that work hard on this. But I lean towards projecting over what you've already done when it comes to this show, because it's the top 100 players right now. I would have put Jackson Holliday in the top 100 players right now. And there are a lot of old school baseball people that frown at the idea of that. What are we talking about? He's going to be the starting shortstop for a team that won over 100 games last year. They're only going to be better this year. And he's going to be at the top of the lineup. If you project, he's going to have a big year. If he's only his worst on base percentage is .420 in the minor leagues. This kid knows how to hit. He came from a baseball factory in Matt Holliday and his DNA. So it's all good. He's going to be a great player. Elly De La Cruz, there are only like 3 players in the game that you could dream on to have a Ronald Acuna type season, 40 homers and 70 stolen bases. Elly De La Cruz is one of those guys. Is he that right now? No, absolutely not. His last 80 games, his swing and miss was ridiculous. But if I had to take a young shortstop right now and put him on my team and close my eyes and go, I don't care what he did in the past, this guy's on my team and I think I can win a World Series. Elly De La Cruz is a physical freak, and I can't wait to watch him play. So I think Jordan Walker, there was so much mediocrity in his game last year that it made our research department pause. Elly De La Cruz had so much, she struggled mightily at the end of the year. But the first half, he looked like a superstar, the LeBron of baseball, and that is why they're projecting him over Jordan Walker.
Greg, as spring training started today, John Mozeliak was asked yesterday if he thought Sonny Gray could be a Game 1 starter in the playoffs. And the first thing that Mo said, well, that's pretty presumptuous, saying that we have to make the playoffs first. What do you think here on the first days of spring training? What do you think the Cardinals are? Do you think it's presumptuous to think that they would be in a playoff, or do you think that it's kind of a done deal?
No, it's a done deal. I think they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team. I love the team. Are they perfect? No, absolutely not. But look at the teams in the division, and you tell me that the Cardinals aren't the best. Corbin Burnes is no longer a Milwaukee Brewer. That is a gigantic difference. With Corbin Burnes gone, the best pitcher, it's no offense to Peralta, who I'm a big fan of, the best pitcher for the Brewers is Devin Williams. Their closer is their best pitcher. That's a rarity when you have that. That's the truth for the Milwaukee Brewers. So I don't put them in there. The Cincinnati Reds didn't do enough. To me, they were the team that needed to get Corbin Burnes. Obviously, the Brewers wouldn't do that. They're in the same division. They're the team that needed to do something to get Dylan Cease, but they haven't done it yet. So to me, there's rotation. I know they tinkered with it, but you need to put more weaponry around Hunter Green, and he's not a finished product yet. I just don't see what Craig Counsell is going to do. I don't see this magic wand for the Chicago Cubs where he's going to show up and all of the horrible bullpen decisions that David Ross made, which kept them out of the playoffs, will all be cleaned up because of Craig Counsell, and the Cubs are going to the playoffs and not the Cardinals. I don't see that either, especially with Bellinger not being in the lineup right now. And because they were tinkering with him and playing, a contract with him so long, and they still are, they missed out on a guy like Rhys Hoskins, who I thought was a better fit for them than the Milwaukee Brewers. So I like the Cardinals veteran mix with their young talent and what they did to the rotation. I still like. I know a lot of people in St. Louis aren't fans of Gibson and Lynn and Gray, but you're going to see that team ERA is going to come down dramatically, and the bullpen with Middleton now and who I've been a huge fan of is going to be vastly improved. And I think the Cardinals are going to win over 90 games, and I'm bullish on that. And I would love to hear Mozeliak be as equally as bullish as I am that the Cardinals win over 90.
Finally, Greg, there is a group of Cardinal fans, because I don't see the Cardinals as Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't see Sonny Gray as being a 34-year-old Chris Carpenter or Justin Verlander or Max Scherzer, so they think I should go do Cubs radio. Do you agree?
Wow, that's a good line. I actually enjoy that a lot. Now, listen, I kind of agree with you. That he's not going to be a 34-year-old that's pitching in the 8th inning. He's not going to pitch in the 7th or 8th inning. But he's going to be a modern baseball version of Chris Carpenter. He'll pitch 5 1/3 and get you set up to win, and he's going to have a sub-3 ERA. I like that. That's big. Cardinals didn't have that last year. As a matter of fact, at the halfway point of the season, if you would have heard that you could get a veteran pitcher in his mid-30s who isn't going to go 6 innings, but he's got a sub-3 ERA, and he'll pitch every 5th day, would you have taken it? Hell yeah, you would have taken it at the All-Star break. So I know when the season ends, we dream about the players we could sign, but just recognize the Cardinals' rotation is improved. And I think you do recognize that, Randy. And if you don't, then maybe someone needs to slide over on the north side of Chicago. Maybe, Randy.
Here's the thing. I look at him as the Cardinals' number one, without question. Do I look at him as a number one? Would I... if I were the Braves, would I trade Spencer Strider? No, for Sonny Gray. Would I trade Zach Wheeler if I were the Phillies for Sonny Gray? No. If I were the Yankees, would I trade Garrett Cole for Sonny Gray? No. I think he's our number one, but do I think he's a number one? No.
Dan, do you agree with this?
No.
Do you agree with this assessment?
No. No, I don't.
You don't think he's our number one?
That part I do. And in terms of the guys that you mentioned, I wouldn't trade for them if I was the opposing teams to go get Sonny Gray. But you're talking about elite pitchers. And some teams don't have elite pitchers and still get into the playoffs, but they do have what would be a pseudo number one. And I don't know if you agree, Greg, but that's Sonny Gray to me.
I completely agree. Look, the price of poker was never going to be in the Blake Snell stratosphere. The Cardinals were never going to spend $200 million on a guy. That was never going to happen. So knowing what we know, right, that limited the free agents that they could go get. So of the free agents, I'm going to say it straight up. I would take Sonny Gray over Jordan Montgomery. Randy, would you take Sonny Gray over Jordan Montgomery?
It's a wash. I'm fine with Sonny Gray.
Fine. He's better. He's a better pitcher than Jordan Montgomery, and I love Jordan Montgomery. Like if the Cardinals signed Jordan Montgomery, it's a no-brainer that Sonny Gray's opening day and game one.
That is absolutely right. But
okay, and Montgomery's going to get a much larger contract than Sonny Gray.
So, he is, but because Montgomery
I think it's a win, man. A 3-year commitment is a win in today's landscape.
I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that he's a really good pitcher, but Montgomery has pitched under the pressure of the bright lights at the highest level. Sonny Gray, and that includes September. Sonny Gray in his career, 13-20 with a 4.16 in September. Far and away his first month of the year when the game changes. Greg, you know how the game changes in September, and his postseason numbers are not great. He's been up and down. He had a good start last year, but he's had some really rough starts in the postseason too. Montgomery has pitched really well in New York under pressure and in the postseason. So that's why I say, and all due respect to Sonny Gray here, I think it's a wash because I think what the Cardinals need now more than anything is a guy at the front of the rotation where when you're going against the other team's best, you need to have win day, and you need to have a guy that gives you the opportunity for 7 innings to win a game.
I agree with you, and I honestly believe they figured that out. I think Sonny Gray will do that for them. Sonny Gray has evolved. The sweeper has evolved. His stuff is better than it was when he was with the Cincinnati Reds. His stuff's better than it was when he broke in with the Oakland A's. I like the way he pitches now. His pitchability makes him a Zach Greinke. Don't think of Greinke right now, but a right-handed pitcher that ages well, that has the pitchability to age well. Young Zach Gallen, who's 28 years old, I'd give that kid a 10-year contract if I was the Arizona Diamondbacks. His pitchability is so great, east-west, north-south, as a right-hander, which is hard to find because the right-hander usually all overpowering. To have a pitchability righty is a big deal. Cardinals have had it for years. Wainwright, Carpenter, but this guy, he's in that mold. I'm telling you, he is. And if you keep disagreeing, I'm going to start really connecting the dots because when I drove past your house last time I was in St. Louis and I saw your whole entire facade covered in ivy, I was thinking to myself, when did Randy start liking ivy so much? And now I'm hearing these rumors of Cubs radio. And I don't know. Maybe you're just trying to get the fan base to start hating you, so the move there will make it less painful. I don't know what you're trying to do here, Randy.
Greg, I know it was a long time ago, but many years ago, after the Cardinals signed Bryn Smith in 1989, I decorated that ivy by spelling out the words Bryn Smith in Christmas lights.
Which is, and still is, Randy, the definition of cool. And
you think?
When people drove by laughing, did you say that someone vandalized your house, or did you admit that you did that?
Oh, no, I admit it, because he was the guy the Cardinals needed at that time. So I was thrilled.
I loved his red beard, man. He was great.
He was fun. Greg,
if Harrison Ford had a red beard back in the day, he could have played Bryn Smith in a movie.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. We darn it, we missed that window, that opening. You're the best, brother. Thanks so much. And who, by the way, Ronald Acuna, number one, is that a given?
Ooh, no, it's not a given. Again, you got to project, man. And I know I have no time, but Ohtani's not pitching, so this is everyone's opportunity. Many people think it's going to be Judge. Let's also remember that we've never seen a Hall of Famer leave a position where they won many Gold Gloves to go to another position and win a Gold Glove. The only player ever to go from the outfield to the infield and win a Gold Glove is Darren Erstad, and he won a Gold Glove at first base. Mookie Betts is hell-bent on winning a Gold Glove at second base. If he has an OPS over 1,000, wins a Gold Glove, he might have one of the greatest second base seasons of all time. Joe Morgan, Jeff Kent, these guys are in the mix. Rogers Hornsby, that was a different era back then. But I'm just saying, not that I was prepared for that question, but for some reason I sound like I was.
We get to see him on opening day. Greg, thank you very much. Have a great weekend, sir.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you, brother. That is Greg Amsinger, MLB Network on 101 ESPN. Coming up, it's Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! TIOLI next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you need financing for a vehicle, I want you to go to autoloanpro.com and download their Auto Loan Pro playbook. And that'll tell you about what they do and how they can help you out. At Auto Loan Pro, they're working with over 50 lenders to help you get the very best financing, the best rate, and the best payment. And with the price of vehicles going up as high as they have, the average vehicle costs more than $50,000. You need to get the best payment that you can get. And I never even thought about this until I talked to Jim Olive and the Auto Loan Pro people. But think about going in and buying a car. I've always just gone into the finance manager's office, and he tells me, here's what we got for you, and I signed up, and I get those payments. And I never thought about actually going to the competition for an auto loan. But Auto Loan Pro makes it very easy, and they do it right. And oh, by the way, if you're in the market for a used vehicle or a car under $10,000, you can find that at Auto Loan Pro as well. They are great at what they do, and they're going to make your life so easy, and they're going to save you so much money. Financing a car, there's only one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro at autoloanpro.com.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
All right, time for a quick TIOLI. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had trouble sleeping over the last couple of nights. And I woke up this morning to the news that everything's going to be just fine. Because yesterday, Larsa and Marcus spotted at Trias Flowers and Gifts in Miami. Yes, we thought they had broken up because we were paying attention to social media. But on Valentine's Day, there's Marcus buying Larsa flowers at Trias Flowers and Gifts in Miami. Take it or leave it, your sleep is going to be much better tonight.
Oh, I'm going to have to take it. I was very stressed out, Randy. I was actually not sleeping well the past few days because I was worried about if love was real or not when I found out that they were broken up.
Well, they left the store with a vase that had 1 to 2 dozen roses.
Oh, conveniently with paparazzi around too?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Maybe it's just an amicable breakup here.
Oh.
Doesn't necessarily have to be nasty, and maybe they're friends and thought, why not go to a store, get some flowers, and make sure all is well and good in front of the cameras.
Thing was, on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, it felt like everything was over to me.
Things can change in a hurry.
And I just hope, I pray that they have changed and that Larsa and Marcus are back.
I do too. I really need it to be real.
Larcus or Marsa?
I can see it now, Randy. A loving embrace, and just 23 can't keep us from each other.
No.
That's so beautiful. I don't know. I like Larcus, actually, Randy. I think that's a good
Yeah, I do too.
I think that's a good one. Well, take it or leave it, guys. This Friday, Apple TV Plus is unveiling The Dynasty, a documentary talking about the Patriots, specifically with that Tom Brady era. Take it or leave it. You're going to watch it. Even if you don't like Bill Belichick and the Patriots in that era, you're going to watch it because all the little tidbits they put out there, including how things got sour between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady towards the end, that's like must-see TV.
Take it.
Take it. I mean, we're trying to pick scabs off here on you, Randy, because you've had the Sonny Gray thing, you've got the Patriots thing. This is tough on you in this first hour of the show.
You guys are just attacking me.
But you're going to watch
attacked.
it for that with Bill Belichick, right?
Oh, yeah, you got to watch BB. BB is, he's actually said some reason. Here's the thing. I don't like the way he treated the media, but he has said some good things. And people that know him well say that he's a really good guy. I just think he's incredibly overrated.
All right, take it or leave it. The Blues have a 4-game homestand with the Oilers, Predators, Maple Leafs, and Islanders coming up. They'll win 3 of 4, eventually get into the playoffs. Now, for a little background here, for those that aren't following, Blues are 28-22-2, 58 points, tied with the Kings. Preds are 56, so 2 back. Basically, do the Blues make the playoffs?
I will take that they make the playoffs, but I will leave the 3-1 homestand.
Really? Do you got the Oilers tonight?
Oilers. What happened with the Predators the day after Thanksgiving?
It was, that was tough.
Kind of ugly.
Yeah.
And then the Maple Leafs just have more good players than the Blues do. And then the Islanders, it doesn't seem like Patrick Waugh has really fixed things with the Islanders yet.
Did you see him in his first practice just getting after guys on the ice, screaming, slamming sticks?
He hasn't changed a bit.
Hadn't changed a bit. That's Patrick Waugh.
That's great.
It's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
I like to see that in hockey.
Yeah. All right, Matthew, what do we got?
Take it or leave it. Randy Carricker's in a Sonny Gray jersey by the end of October.
Oh, totally take it, yeah. Big number 54. Little number 54.
Don't say little number 54. We need to, Dan, here's the thing. We need to come up with some sort of bet that would end up with Randy Carricker in a Sonny Gray jersey.
I like what you're thinking here, Brooke.
We got to think about this.
Can't go wins and losses. That's outdated to an extent.
It is, yeah.
I like wins and losses. You do too, Randy. I'm sure, Brooke, you probably have
I think
some
winning
affinity
is totally
for it.
overrated.
But, it's not the true measure of a pitcher, though.
Oh, no, WAR is.
No.
I mean, you think about ERA, you think about strikeouts, you think about innings. You know, you give the stat about Sonny Gray and how many games he won, but there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Where's his offense? What happened defensively? Things of that nature. So we need to come up with a certain number or numbers that would maybe get you that jersey.
Okay.
The greatest indicator of pitcher success.
Are they going to make one in my size, or are they going to continue to make them in the?
Yeah, they can do that.
Just have M and S.
The greatest indicator of pitcher success, of course, is whether or not they throw a slider or a sweeper. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals mixed up their player jerseys with stadium giveaways.
I'll take that. Yeah, that's exactly what they look like.
Exactly what they look like.
That's what I said. It's like going to a sporting goods store and just taking it right off the rack.
It does. Yeah, I'm going to take that. It looks so bad, guys.
But we need to preface this, though, by saying it's not the Cardinals that are doing this. This is across the board in Major League Baseball.
This is everybody. And by the way, this fabric is recycled. So they're using recycled fabric. And I hammered the Los Angeles Rams a couple of years ago for using a color that they call bone for their white jerseys. That's what these look like. They aren't bright white at all.
No.
Kind of disappointing.
It looks so bad.
One more for us, Matthew.
Take it or leave it. Nada brings more to the Blues than Kevin Hayes.
I'll take that.
I'll take that right now for sure.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Having a pretty good year.
He's having a really good year. And
did you see that hit on Reeves the other night?
Oh, the Thunder from Down Under, eh?
You can't say the Thunder. Dan chuckled. The Thunder from Down Under.
He's from Australia, and he hit a guy.
Yeah.
It's copyrighted.
Oh.
So we can't say that? Oh.
Oopsie.
So is that going to be part of the YouTube
I retract.
when it goes,
It's fine.
You can't hear anything?
Just don't Google it.
I retract.
No, Google it. Yeah.
No, don't Google it.
So I think that we should just go with no rules, just right when we make that comment.
One final one.
Okay.
I always like this one. Take it or leave it. Dick Vermeil stays. The Rams win another Super Bowl.
Ooh, this is a good one. And, I think I'll take that.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah. It would have been...
You switch up at the top after being at the top with a team. There's just a little bit of a shakeup, and why not stay with the consistency of the coach who got you there?
Here's the thing. They had a lot of problems. Kevin Carter had a bad back that year. DeMarco, his career essentially ended. Todd Light fell off the cliff. Mike Jones, he just wasn't. The defense allowed 471 points, and it was legit. Their defensive players all at once just kind of disintegrated. It was really tough. So it would have been tough on DV, but you get to that playoff game, and I would think that they would have been more prepared in a game against New Orleans than they were. They fell way behind and then had to try to come back, and you had the Oz fumble. I think that would have been a different looking team had DV been there.
Can I get one more here?
Sure.
636 says, speaking of bet, did Randy ever get his Stanley Cup tattoo? And the answer is yes.
You did.
Got a long time ago. Yeah.
He is tatted up over there.
For sure he is.
Yeah.
Crossbones.
And an arch. Yeah.
You got an arch in that. Yeah. Did you get to pick out this said tattoo?
Actually, I had my son Patrick design it.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. And then Dave Canoy, who did it, he's an amazing artist and the greatest tattoo artist in town. Then he applied it during the course of a show, during a fast lane show.
That's
me up. You got a
incredible.
tattoo.
Maybe that's what we should do, Dan. If Sonny Gray does take the ball in Game 1 in the postseason, Sonny Gray, I love Sonny Gray tattoo.
If you guys will get Sonny Gray tattoos on your face, I will do it.
Oh my God, no!
Quid pro quo.
No.
Okay, well then no. Thank you, Matthew.
Welcome.
And thank you very much for your text. Coming up, what were the big things that Mo said yesterday? We're going to tell you what we think they were next on 101 ESPN. The wings at Fenton Bar and Grill are scrumptious. They are the most enticing, mouth-watering wings that you will ever have. And when you bite into one at Fenton Bar and Grill, order their trashed wings with their signature golden sauce. It's something that you will love forever. And you'll come back to Fenton Bar and Grill again and again and again because everything that they put into those trashed wings is divine. You will absolutely love it. So you need to try the best trashed wings that you'll ever have. A great lunch. Have those trashed wings first, but then enjoy their meatloaf today with your choice of 2 sides. And we've been talking about this time of year. The soup of the day at Fenton Bar and Grill today is the gumbo. And I have ordered the gumbo many times, and I absolutely love it. It's sensational. Go to the Fenton Bar and Grill if you're looking for a great place for lunch or dinner or happy hour this afternoon. Enjoy the great food and drink, and enjoy the great people. Alicia will be behind the bar today. Say hi to Kelly and Megan and Colleen and the crew. They're a really, really nice group, and you will just enjoy yourself. I promise you're going to be talking sports with really fun people and having great food at the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. When you go, tell them Randy sent you.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One. A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the opening drive's fresh take.
Time for the fresh take, and the Cardinals start spring training. We anticipated that Yadi Molina would be down there as a special assistant to the general manager, Brooke, Dan, and Randy, and at least at this point, no Yadi Molina, who, to his credit, has been managing very well in the Caribbean League and in the Caribbean World Series.
I was hoping that he would be there. And that was something that we had mentioned going into the spring training, something I wanted to see. I thought it was very important that Yadi Molina would be there. And I understand that he is going to be joining them a little bit later on. But have you guys seen an exact timetable? I just see a few weeks, according to the report.
I wish he was there day one. I
Yes.
mean, this is an important time to get with your catchers. You got to get with Contreras. He had deficiencies at times behind the plate last year. You've got the best that's ever done it, maybe, defensively. And I talked to Ted Simmons about that not that long ago, and he said he's the best that's ever played the position defensively. And maybe there's little nuances he can pick up from Yadi. So a little disappointed that he's not down there on day one.
Mo saying yesterday that he will not join the club for several weeks after spending most of the winter managing a Puerto Rican team in the Caribbean Series in Miami. So don't expect, if you're headed down to Jupiter, to see Yadi Molina for at least a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, the Cardinals do have a lot of new players. Their turnover on the roster, more than a third, about 38% of the players that the Cardinals are bringing to spring training on their 40-man roster are new. Here's Pobo John Mozeliak.
I feel like it's like something that has always been, when you look at over the course of those years, like some of the decisions that we've made that have been positive versus negative, there is definitely a common denominator of people that truly want to be here. And as you guys can all imagine, in the free agent world, proxy tends to be dollars, right, or years and dollars. Whereas, there are times where people just truly want to be a part of this organization, a part of the St. Louis community, and it usually ends much better that way. And so when we entered this off season, we didn't go in strictly trying to chase that or look for that, but it was something that was definitely underlying. And when it showed up early, that's how we were able to get these deals done in the timely fashion that we did. I mean, as you're standing here today, the free agent market is still going, right? And we were able to find players that wanted to be here, and we're able to get them to agree to deals really right around Thanksgiving.
And the Cardinals have signed some guys that, for lack of a better term, were just mercenaries that were in it for the bucks, and they really weren't in it to be a Cardinal. And it used to be that, Mo talked about getting players to want to play here. It used to be that was a regular occurrence. And because the money has changed so dramatically and the sport has changed so dramatically, that's not necessarily the case anymore.
I do like that they set the tone very early on. As he mentioned, they got moving really quickly. Now, when it comes to, I wouldn't necessarily say the hometown discount, but the guys who wanted to come and be St. Louis Cardinal players, I do understand that. Of course you want guys who want to be there, but sometimes too you have to bring in guys who, not that you have to convince them, but at the same time you show them why they would want to be a St. Louis Cardinal. He kept mentioning too guys who want to be a part of the St. Louis community, and that's been an issue in the past, and I can understand how if you don't like it in St. Louis, then maybe you won't play as well or understand what you're representing. So I do like that factor in it. The big question, of course, when you're talking about wait and see, Dan, is will this translate to more wins?
Yeah, let's just be honest here. It comes down to money. If you're putting out the best deal, then you'll be a Cardinal. If you're not putting out the best deal, more than likely you're not. I think there's some guys, though, that have made a ton of money, and with everything being equal, they would say, I'll go to St. Louis.
That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Everything being equal, St. Louis is still an attractive place to play.
Absolutely it is. You gotta have a packed stadium. You're going to have a chance to win this year. It's a fun place to play. So in the history here of this organization and winning outside of last year, that's why I think those players, if everything's equal, talking about money or years, that's why players want to come here.
One thing the Cardinals clearly, and they admit it, misevaluated last year was the importance of the leadership of Molina and Pujols in 2022. And this year, those three pitchers and Matt Carpenter bring a lot of leadership to the table as well. And that's something that Mozeliak was looking for.
Well, certainly skill matters, and it's very relevant. But we also do want people that want to be part of this community, the St. Louis community, and I think that's important. And we have had times where we've had players that end up signing here that they don't find that comfort in the community or maybe as welcoming as others. And hopefully that bridge has already been crossed, and these guys know exactly what they're getting into.
So they're going to be here, and people like Carpenter, people like Lynn, people like Kyle Gibson, people like Gray present a leadership level that the Cardinals probably were lacking on some level last year. And it's hard. For example, Jack Flaherty wasn't pitching very well. Adam Wainwright wasn't even pitching. It's hard to lead when you aren't performing well or performing at all.
Well,
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, go right ahead.
No, I was going to say, so far, I do like from the reports that I'm seeing that Sonny Gray really is living up to that intensity that everybody's talked about. Remember, we had John Denton on. He talked about the level of intensity that he has. I like you're seeing that because I felt like there was times last season where you were lacking that in the clubhouse, that intensity, that passion, that want to really turn things around.
I think Matt Carpenter will tell players that this is very special and don't overlook it. And Lance Lynn will say that too.
Yeah.
Lance Lynn's one of those guys where if you look at it from the outside, yes, he is a rusty nail. He looks like a tough guy. But inside that clubhouse with experience now that maybe he didn't have before or was on the lower rung of the pitching staff where you don't really, you're seen but don't be heard kind of thing, make sure you're not voicing your opinion too loudly. Now he can. He's got that cachet to do it, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the leaders of this team too.
As in any walk of life, you need people that will tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And people like Lynn and Carpenter hopefully will do that. That's Dan, that's Brooke, I'm Randy, and that is today's Fresh Take. Next up, Bernie Federko joins us to talk some Blues hockey here on 101 ESPN.
talking everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
The St. Louis Blues back home to start a 4-game homestand tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. 6 o'clock pregame here on 101 ESPN, a 7 o'clock face-off. And, of course, for the Bally Sports pregame, you can see the Hall of Famer Bernie Federko, who joins Brooke and Dan and Randy right now on the opening drive. Bernie, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Randy. I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. Overall, take that road trip, right? Even though the last game against Toronto was disappointing, but coming out of the break, pretty good trip.
Yeah, it's been a really good trip. I mean, when you consider you got to beat the teams that are below you in the standings. That's exactly what they did in Buffalo and Montreal. I mean, I think that we're all disappointed the way things went in Toronto, especially when you get Tavares out of the lineup. You got no Marner, a little shorthanded with no Riley, and it would have been much better to come out with that a win. But I don't think we should complain. I mean, look, they've won 7 of the last 8 games, and things are going pretty well right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Bernie, because you had that great performance against the Canadians, and then they follow up with that game against the Maple Leafs. I thought it was very interesting, though, that Drew Bannister is saying in his post-game comments after the Toronto game that they really lacked energy and didn't understand why, considering they'd been off for 24 hours. How do you explain that lack of energy that he noted?
Well, I think you always look at it, Brooke, it's what the other team does a lot of times, too. And I think with Toronto having so many guys out of the lineup, I think they all realize right away that we better be really good and really the young kids get an opportunity to kind of prove themselves, just like what the McMahon kid did, is that they came out really storming, and I think the Blues were on their heels right after that. All of a sudden you fall behind, and then you have a hard time kind of getting things going. So I don't know if there's any excuse for not finding your legs early, and for Drew to say that. I mean, it just happens. I guess it's sports, and sometimes everybody just doesn't feel right and doesn't get the momentum going, and you can't really find it. And especially in a building like Toronto, when the crowd gets going a little crazy, it's really kind of hard to find that little bit of momentum, and they weren't able to do that.
Hey, Bernie, good morning to you. Robert Thomas.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good, bud.
Robert Thomas is on a 92-point pace, and you are one of the elite passers in the game. What is it about Robert Thomas and being able to pass the puck and see the ice? What do you see with him that takes him to a different level than maybe some of the other players in the National Hockey League?
Well, mostly, Dan, I think that's a God-given talent. I mean, his vision is very, very good. I mean, he's always looking. I mean, you can see when he's out there skating, he's always got his head on a swivel. He's looking for something to happen. I think he anticipates what's going to happen. And I think when you start playing with a couple of guys that you know very well, and he's kind of got that now with Buchnevich and with Kyrou, is that they've got that sixth sense right now. You kind of know that the guy is going to go to a certain place in a certain situation, and you kind of just read that. And I think that Robert's in that. He passes the puck very well. He can, he's got a nice saucer flip pass. He can look one way and pass the other way. So he's just it's a talent that he's got that a lot of guys don't get. And I think the fact that he's getting so much ice time. He's out there 20 minutes a game. He's played in all situations, and then it comes down to confidence. I mean, he knows that. He's being counted on to be a part of the offense, and he's also being counted on to be part of the defense. And when you've got confidence from your teammates and the coaches around you, it makes your job a little easier. And I think that he's showing that each and every time he's on the ice.
Bernie, the Blues are going to run into a good problem when Justin Falk is healthy and eventually Scott Perunovich is healthy. But it seems like the 6 that they've been running out there on defense have been playing very well as a unit. You might not have the individual skill that those two bring, but it sure seems like they've got a system down defensively.
Yeah, Randy, that says it well right there. The system is there. I mean, they're doing everything. They're simplifying everything, and just get the puck out. The guy that has played very well is Parayko. I mean, he's been absolutely outstanding. Leddy's been really, really good. But I think when you look at the other pairs, I mean, they're just doing those simple things. They're not trying to do anything fancy. Get the puck out, be solid in front of the net, finish your checks in the corners, and I think they're doing a good job boxing out so that we're not seeing 3 or 4 or 5 different rebounds with scoring chances in tight. So, I mean, when you're missing a couple of key people, I think that when the young kids especially come in, I think the best thing for them to do is not try to be fancy, just get the puck in and out, and I think they've done a really good job with that.
Bernie, we've talked a lot about the fourth line and how impressive they've been recently. What have you seen from them?
Well, that's their job. I mean, the energy that they bring is I mean, we all know what Oscar Sundqvist brings. Same thing with Toropchenko. I mean, what I like about Toropchenko right now is that he's showing a little bit more finish than what we saw earlier. Last year he came up and I thought he showed an awful lot on the offensive side. And this year, for whatever reason, the puck hasn't been going in for him. But he's out there. He's got great speed. He's got great size. I mean, the goal he scored in Montreal was absolutely outstanding. I don't think anybody knew that he had that in him to be able to make that move through his legs and then cut in front of the net and score the goal. But he's doing, again, because he's finishing now, I think he becomes more dangerous. He's going to get more ice time. And then Nathan Walker, he plays the same way all the time. I mean, he brings that energy, and he's one of those guys that's going to finish his checks. He's a little guy, but he's exciting to watch. So when you have three guys on a line like that are out there hustling and really setting the tone for the game, I think everybody, not only in the stands and fans love it, but I think the teammates all love that because it adds some energy to the bench.
Bernie, as you well know, you got to have depth in any sport. You're going to have to dip into the minor leagues and get some help in the major leagues, or in this case, the NHL. How about Matthew Kessell? He's averaging 17:30 of ice time. That's 12th best among NHL rookie defensemen. I don't know if he came out of nowhere, but by the way, I don't care because the kid is playing pretty well, isn't he?
Yeah, Danny, I don't think that we knew exactly what we were getting with Matt. With Matt, he's really been one of those guys that, I mean, and I think he's the one guy that I really have noticed that has played the game really simple. He's really steady out there. I mean, I think he's only a -1 or whatever done the year, and he hasn't been minus in many of the games at all. And he's really been thrown into a tough assignment, with no fault there. I mean, he's jumped in and he's played with Krug, and he's done a really, really good job. So, I mean, I think that you need to have guys like that. Now, is he going to be a second or a third or a fourth defenseman in the National Hockey League? Who knows what that's going to happen. But, I mean, he's quietly come in and done his job. And I think that when you look at a young guy like that, it's so hard to play defense in this league. And if he can continue to do this and put himself in a situation where he can be even a fourth defenseman for the rest of his career, it's going to be very, very impressive.
Hey, Bernie, before we let you go, a fellow Hall of Famer, Paul Coffey, was hired as part of the coaching staff in Edmonton when they made their change. Chris Knobloch took over as a head coach. Paul Coffey said he talks to Wayne Gretzky every other day, and before he took the job, Gretzky said, "You're setting yourself up to fail." And Coffey said, "It didn't bother me. I didn't really care about that." And here's the Oilers 28-8 since Knobloch and Coffey took over. But you have the gift. You have great vision on the ice. You see a guy like Patrick Waugh, who obviously you guys all put a lot of hard work into it. But how frustrating must it be sometimes to have the guys that don't have the skill level that you possessed as a great player, but have to coach them up?
That's, I think, the hardest part about being a coach. When you've been one of the players that kind of everything kind of comes easy for you, where you've got the talent and stuff. And I think that's what's hard, is that you've got to kind of bring yourself down to the level where you can actually teach and try to get them to think the way you do. And sometimes it's very frustrating. So, because I was surprised when Paul took the job too there, because that's a tough goal in this mission. The Oilers have not been really good defensively for the most part. Him being an offensive defenseman, I'm sure it was very, very difficult. But I mean, he's obviously done a marvelous job. And but it's very frustrating because you have to sometimes say, well, certain guys you can say one thing one time and they get it. A lot of other guys, you got to say it 10 times and they still don't get it. So I think it was probably been very difficult, but you can't argue with the results that the Oilers have had over the course of the last couple of months.
And by the way, you played against him for a decade. How good was Paul Coffey?
He was absolutely outstanding. I mean, the way he skated, the way that whole team carried themselves. I mean, they were just so explosive and dynamic. And I hope I get a chance to see him this morning or something, because I'd like to find out and pick his brain how he decided on that and how they brought him into that. But no, he's obviously one of the best in the business, and now he's really carrying it on with helping the coaching there, which has been absolutely outstanding.
Bernie, it's always good to hear your voice. Thanks so much for the time. We'll be tuned in tonight on Bally Sports Midwest, and let's go Blues.
Thanks, everyone. You guys have a great day.
We'll see you later. That is the great Hall of Famer and one of the nicest people in the world, Hall of Fame person as well, Bernie Federko, with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got the fight. We've got a returning fighter, so you don't need to text in today. And I'll see if I can redeem myself after a crushing loss yesterday in overtime.
Randy, I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe in you.
Dan's rooting against me. Dan wants a Hall of Fame.
What happened the other day?
Yesterday?
You tried to hand me a victory.
I tried to hand you a victory because I miscalculated who had got answers right. So I'm just a innocent bystander to this. I just read the questions.
I already have my overtime paper out.
There you go.
That's not a lot of confidence, Randy, in getting 4 out of 4.
Actually, the overtime paper says Arenado, Goldie, Gray.
Randy,
I have my paper out.
Are you just like Patrick Mahomes where you like to make it interesting until the end there?
It's what I do.
It's what I do.
The fight is next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're having an outdoor project done on your home, there's only one company in St. Louis to get in touch with. It's Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You can see what they do at chesterfieldfence.com or give them a call at 800-300-4054. We had our fence built by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and they do amazing work on more than just fences and decks. They'll do sunrooms and screen rooms, pergolas and patios. They'll come out. They'll provide you a free, no-obligation project design, which looks really cool. And then they'll show you photos of other jobs that they've done. Maybe you're thinking about having a job done, but you really don't have the details down. They'll show you other ideas that they have been able to execute that look fantastic. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been around for 56 years, and you don't stay around that long without being great. And they are great at what they do. And they'll take care of you, and everything is covered by 5-year labor warranties and really comprehensive material warranties as well. And when you mention the opening drive and Randy, you get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Once again, their website, chesterfieldfence.com. Call 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Your Blues back in action tonight, facing off against the Edmonton Oilers, 7 p.m. puck drop. Catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN. Starting at 6 p.m. You want to hear more Blues talk? You can go to the Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's podcast, listen to the interview with Bernie Federko from the opening drive, or stay tuned for 9:15 when the Athletics Blues insider Jeremy Rutherford joins Randy, Danny, and Brooke. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Randy, and Dan here, and it is time for the fight. And we have a return fighter today. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right. How excited were you yesterday after you had beat Randy in the fight? Were you telling everybody?
Oh, yeah, I told most everybody, but, I told you I'd come back from Mexico. I was in Mexico, so apparently 5 days of tequila beats 1 day of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I get it. Sun and just enjoying the vacation. You were well rested and prepared, and now you go for round 2 today.
Yeah, and he sounds like he's pretty hopped up, so this could get ugly.
Well, don't worry. There's no Sonny Gray questions in this one, so you'll be fine.
Nice.
All right, we'll get started with question number 1, John. The Cowboys and Packers are currently tied with 36 all-time playoff appearances. Which AFC franchise is the only one to reach 30-plus playoff berths? Is it the Colts, the Dolphins, or the Steelers?
Steelers.
Final answer, John?
Yes.
Okay. Other than Tommy Edman, who is the only other 21st century Cardinal to steal 30 bases in a season? Cesar Izturis, Edgar Renteria, or Colton Wong?
Colton Wong.
All right. Final answer, sir?
No. Renteria.
Oh, okay. So what do you got, Renteria or Wong?
Renteria. I'm switching him up.
Okay. You got it in just before the buzzer went off. Good job.
Question 3, John. Of the big 4 leagues, which is the only one to have more than 10 franchises without a championship in that league? Is it the NHL, NBA, or NFL?
NHL has. I would go with the NBA.
Okay, I'm going to make sure. Is that your final answer?
That is absolutely it, Danny Mac.
Okay. Robert Thomas is currently just over a 90-point pace. Who is the last Blue to score over 90? Vladimir Tarasenko, Pavel Demitra, or Keith Tkachuk?
Vladdy.
Okay. We're going to go grab Randy. And how do you feel, John, about today after winning yesterday against Megamind?
Well, yesterday I actually knew 2 of the questions, and at least knew I was at 50-50. Today I felt like I had never heard of anything.
Randy is grabbing his headsets, and now he is ready to take on John in day 2 of this fight.
I'm ready.
Man, you're fired up this morning, man.
Brother.
He's got the propel ready to go. Randy, did you think about John and that loss yesterday? Did it bother you?
No.
No?
Sorry.
Because you knew that you get to come out and do it again today. Sorry.
I compartmentalize. I'm like a baseball player. I just put it behind me right away.
There you go.
I got a show to run.
You do. You were on top of it. We'll say hi to John again.
John, good morning. How you doing?
Morning, Randy.
Good to have you with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
All right. Question number 1, Randy. The Cowboys and Packers are currently tied with 36 all-time playoff appearances. Which AFC franchise is the only one to reach 30-plus playoff berths?
AFC franchise with 30-plus playoff berths. Well, let's see. The Steelers really started going in 1970. They only had one, I think, between 1945 and 70. But then they went on a roll. So I'm going to go with the Steelers right off the top of my head. There was a time not too long ago where the Steelers had literally played in half of the AFC Championship games. It was amazing.
Question 2, other than Tommy Edman, who is the only other 21st century Cardinal to steal 30 bases in a season?
Tommy Edman. Well, I know Tony Womack stole 30 multiple times for multiple teams. This is with the Cardinals that he had to steal 30?
Yes.
Okay. I think I will go with, I don't know if Beltran got to 30. Goldie has not gotten to 30. It's probably probably in the Tony era, unless it is Beltran. I don't think Tony did, and the only other guy I would think had a chance would have been Renteria. So why don't we do, let's see if Edgar is there. Let's do the lifeline, Dan.
Cesar Izturis?
No.
Edgar Renteria?
Maybe.
Colton Wong?
I will go with Edgar Renteria.
Final answer?
Yes, sir.
Question 3, please.
Of the big 4 leagues, which is the only one to have more than 10 franchises without a championship in the league?
Okay, so more than 10 without a championship. Let's start with the NBA, because you've got all these expansion teams over the course of time. But many of them have won championships, like Miami and let's see. Well, in the NFL, I don't think you have 10 that don't have. Well, maybe you do. Detroit, Cleveland, Houston, Jacksonville, Arizona. That's 5 right there. Bengals have never won one. Falcons have never won one. Vikings have never won one. Bills have never won one. I'm guessing that there's another team out there that hasn't won one. So I'm going to go with the National Football League. Unless this is close. Let me just think if I can think of a 10th right off the top of my head. I did 9 in the space of 15 seconds there. Who else could it be? Carolina Panthers have never won one. So there's 10 right there.
Okay. So you're going NFL.
The question is the only league to have 10 teams that have never won a championship? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
I will go with those 10.
More than 10. More than 10.
More than 10. Okay. Well, this changes things then. Perhaps. Let me see. Packers, Bears, Lions, Vikings. I did that. NFC East. Everybody has won. NFC South. Panthers, Falcons, Bucks have won. And Saints have won. And then North, Packers. I did that. East, West, Rams have won. Seahawks have won. Niners have won. And Cardinals have not. AFC West. Chargers have never won. So I will say that that's 11.
So NFL?
Yeah, NFL.
Okay.
All right. Robert Thomas is currently just over a 90-point pace. Who is the last Blue to score over 90?
Over 90 for the Blues. Couple of years ago. Well, Pavel had 90. I think we had a couple of years ago was the first guy since Pavel to score more than a point a game. So I will go with Dimitra being the guy, unless, Perron didn't do it. I'll go with Pavel Dimitra, Blues Hall of Famer.
All right, it was a close fight. Ring the bell, please.
An extremely close fight here. Almost went to a tiebreaker, but we do have a winner in today's fight. As Danny said, ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker. The fight is driven by Car Shield. Plans to fit any budget. Visit carshield.com today.
I'm so sorry, John. He just got you. He beat you 3-2, and he needed the last question to do it.
Yep. And I was afraid when he got on the NFL one he was going to get it for sure, but
Yep, sorry about that one. Let's go through the questions and go through the answers. The Cowboys and Packers are currently tied with 36 all-time playoff appearances. It is, in fact, the Pittsburgh Steelers who sit just behind them with 34. The Colts, by the way, just behind in AFC total appearances with 29, just short of that 30th point. The Patriots are right behind them, I believe, with 28. Other than Tommy Edman, Edgar Renteria is the only 21st century Cardinal to steal more than 30 bases in a season. He did it once. He did 20 over 2 other times. Of the Big Four leagues, it is actually the NHL that has had 11 teams not win titles. It would have been 12, but the Vegas Golden Knights. The list I have for the NFL here, Randy, is Falcons, Bills, Panthers, Bengals, Texans, Jaguars, Chargers, Vikings, Titans. I have a list of 9 for the NFL. Did I miss one?
Let me just go. Bills.
Got it. Yep.
Let's see.
I got to tell you, this is scintillating.
This is just great radio. Bengals, Browns, Lions, Vikings. That's 5. Falcons, Titans, Jags, Texans. Let's see. Broncos.
Did you already say Panthers?
Chargers. That's 10. Cardinals are 11.
Oh, that's a bad list.
Yeah.
I went through it all. I thought I had all 9.
I went through it all, too.
The NHL had 12 until the Vegas Golden Knights won. They knocked it down to 11 for the NHL, but that one didn't matter. You both got that one wrong. And the one that was the winner, your third one was correct. Robert Thomas, currently... What?
Don't I get the jack now?
I guess you do get the jack. Well, the NHL is they're both correct there, so we'll play Jack Buck for you if you need to hear it. Robert Thomas currently over... Do you need to hear it? Currently over a 90-point pace. Who was the last Blue to score over 90? It was, in fact, Pavel Dimitrov. Vladimir Tarasenko came up short a number of times. So a 3-2 win for Randy Carricker, a 4-2 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Thank you, John, so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
I'm going to throw something out there, and I know you're not going to like it.
Oh, no.
You're going to get upset.
That's fine.
Okay.
We do have a shot clock in basketball.
No.
And I was just thinking, do we have a shot clock in the fight?
No.
We can do that if I get when I have to go through 32 teams. If you
I
give me the
understand where
options
you're going.
immediately, I'm happy with that.
I understand that. See, this is where I knew you were going to get mad.
Yeah. Now, those were theoretically, I could have gone through 120 teams, right?
Correct.
That's not something that you just know right off the top of your head.
Okay.
Dan,
we
you
got
knew it.
we got
We've
let's
got
see.
the Taylor Swift effect coming up next here on
He is
101
mad.
ESPN. Hey, if you are planning to sell your home, then I want you to get in touch with my friend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's number is 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. You can see a lot of what she does at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. But the reason that I want you to get in touch with Gloria is because she's already got buyers for you. That's pretty cool. Now, she's able to guarantee the sale of your home in writing, and that's guaranteed because over the years, she has collected a database of ready buyers that are in her exclusive database, and they're looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. So she can connect you with somebody who wants to buy in your neighborhood very quickly. That's how Gloria nets you the most money and creates the highest demand, many times with a lot of offers, and that means more money in your pocket. And you say, Randy, well, I'm not considering selling my home right now, but I need to move out from my house within the next 12 months. Gloria can set things up so that you can sell your home, but still stay in it for 12 months. Find out about how you can do that by calling Gloria 314-325-6888 or go to gloriahasthebuyers.com. NFLshop.com and seeing all of the women's clothing and the juniors female clothing and all kinds of women's clothing for the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And the Taylor Swift effect is in full force. For the Super Bowl on Sunday, female viewership overall was up 11%. Female viewership ages 18 to 24 up 24%. What do you want to do if you're a sports league? You want to cultivate young viewers, especially young viewers that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to get. The most coveted demographic is women, because generally women are the ones that control the purse strings in a household. Women represented 47.5% of the total audience for this year's Super Bowl. That's an all-time high, and I have to believe that Taylor Swift, being Travis Kelce's girlfriend and being at so many Chiefs games, benefits the NFL in that she does bring a previous demographic that wasn't watching their games.
I think that that's a percentage of it, but I think it's also bigger than that. I think that, one, you're seeing women continuing to grow in sports, and I'm talking about not just on the sidelines, but you're seeing more representation in broadcasting overall across the board as well. You also have women who are more involved in sports than ever. I think that that's another reason why. And guys, personally, I've had a lot of my friends who were not really that interested in sports become more interested because they've gotten involved in fantasy football.
Really?
So I think that there's a lot of other things other than just Taylor Swift. I don't doubt that she had an effect on this. I think that it's great that she's probably opened up more fans to the NFL, but I think that fantasy football and some of those other factors are also a big reason why.
I was going to take it a step further. How many women are betting?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'd be curious on the text line if you do so text in, but females betting. You know, we always talk, well, guys go out and bet, guys do that. Well, there's probably females that bet too, and I agree with you, Brooke. I think fantasy football has been huge. In the Super Bowl, though, I wonder how many people just lay down a friendly bet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is definitely a part of it, and it's actually a problem because a lot of females wind up, because of the advent of casinos, are compulsive gamblers.
Yeah.
And they wind up in that realm, now that sports gambling is here, it does. It gets you more involved. It makes a game more entertaining if you have money on a game. You care more at the end about the over-under, right? How many people were caring about the final score of the game on Sunday when Kansas City scored the winning touchdown? But what I'm talking about here is especially the young viewership, the 12 to 17-year-old girls that probably aren't gambling. That's up 11%. And I have to believe a lot of that is attributable to Taylor Swift.
I'm sorry. I just laughed a little bit where you said probably aren't gambling. I hope they're not gambling at 12 and 17. So, you can't do that.
No. And I don't know when Taylor Swift isn't coming to the games anymore, if those people aren't. But I can tell you this, my daughter is a huge Baltimore Ravens fan. She loves Lamar Jackson, and she has all kinds of Ravens gear. And she became a fan after the Rams had left, and especially after Lamar had taken over in Baltimore. And those young girls, I can tell you from firsthand experience, my daughter's 24 now, but what did I buy her for Christmas? A Ravens shirt. So young girls that previously, certainly when Dan and I, when we were that age, 12 to 17, there wasn't the proliferation. And I think it's awesome. I love to see young women at games and watching games and knowing the sport. That's how you became a broadcaster, Brooke. I think it's just awesome.
It is, because my dad enjoyed taking me to Titans games. He was the type of Titans fan that would paint his entire face. He wore the flame head. Remember, they don't really do that much now.
Those were cool, though.
Yeah, back in the day, wearing his Eddie George jersey. And that is how I became a fan of sports in general, is because of that, but also playing tennis. I was very active in sports in general, so it just felt very natural to try to pursue a career in that. But it makes me so happy to see these numbers and that there's more and more women getting involved. And like I said, I do think that fantasy football has a lot to do with this, because I've cared more about teams that I never thought I would care about before because of fantasy football.
And it provides, I would think, a bonding experience with males, right? It's something, it's another discussion point for females and males to talk about, a bonding experience, especially if you beat a guy in fantasy football.
Oh, yes.
My daughters have done that.
Beat you?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine.
Yeah. I make sure I hear about it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I finished, what was it, 4th in our league here?
Yeah, you were really impressive. You were way more impressive than me. I tried to get you a championship, Brooke.
Oh, no, we're not going to stir that pot again, Randy. We are not going to stir that pot again.
The Rush Hour Reset coming your way next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mack on this Thursday morning. I want to tell you about Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance and you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to do any of these things. Let me make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, home of the bagel loan. He will help you every step of the way. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days. And he'll get you the best interest rate possible, and also has the bagel loan, as I mentioned, that can help you out too. So what is the bagel loan? You hear it all the time, whether it's me or Anthony, maybe it's even Jamie, talk about the bagel loan. If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call. Call him directly on his personal cell phone. He will pick up 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
9:05 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. With Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin, I'm Randy Carricker. Matthew Rocc is also here, and it's time for our Rush Hour Reset. Spring training underway. Pitchers and catchers working out down in Jupiter, Florida, getting ready for the 2024 campaign. And the Cardinals' new starting pitchers are all apparently hale and hearty and healthy down in Jupiter. And you've got Lance Lynn, who's 36, turns 37 in May. You've got Kyle Gibson, who will pitch this year at age 36. You've got Sonny Gray, who will pitch this year at age 34. You got Miles Michaelis, who will pitch this year at age 35, and he'll turn 36 in August, and then 32-year-old Steven Matz. So it's a well-seasoned starting rotation, and John Mozeliak was asked yesterday if he's concerned about the age of his starting pitchers.
Well, unlike our upcoming election, I am not overly concerned with age in this current state. So I do feel like what we missed a lot last year was more experience. And so, trying to tie age and experience together usually is pretty common. And so going down that path, we knew that was likely where we were going to end up.
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, I am glad that he didn't sign any 78 or 80-year-old starting pitchers.
Oh, we would be very, very angry.
Concerned.
But what about a mic drop moment there from Mozeliak? That was pretty funny, guys.
It was good.
It was pretty funny.
It was good.
Steven Matz is your youngest pitcher in the starting rotation at 32 years old. Here's the thing. It's going to be talked about nonstop. I can already see the ESPN graphics during their broadcast where they're going to talk about the age of the starting rotation for the Cardinals over and over and over again. But the only thing that will silence that is performances that are well and good, and then you don't have to worry about that as much. I do hope the experience pays off, but it always brings up the injury concerns, especially at that age.
It'll be interesting, like in the first month, of how much Ollie will allow his pitchers to go, his starters, because I think he wants to be very careful because of their age, Randy, and you said seasoned. Starting staff.
Yeah, vintage.
Yeah, they're old, and that's okay. They still can pitch at this level, but I do think that'll be something to watch carefully in let's say the first month or so, and just maybe not pushing them as much as you normally would in a stretch run where you got to have them go because you're trying to win a game or win a pennant or win a division.
Do you have any concerns with, we saw last season where they became very dependent on the bullpen early on, and then we saw the bullpen really fall apart towards the end there?
Yeah, you're going to rely on them, and it is a concern. It would be for me. And that's why I kind of counter what I'm saying, because your bullpen fell apart, but the parts that they have this year are much, much better in their bullpen than it was a year ago.
Right, and they have depth that they can pull up from Memphis if they need to. Here's the thing about these pitchers that are old. They're old. For baseball.
You're done with season? Old base seasoning?
Yeah. But here's the thing. Last year, Lance Lynn made 32 starts. Kyle Gibson made 35, tied for the major league lead with Miles Michaelis. And Sonny Gray took the ball 32 times as well. So if they can replicate what they have done, and by the way, all these guys have been through their injuries. Hopefully they're past injuries. And like Waino said, he always told his managers, whether it was Schilt or Ollie down the stretch, hey, I'm old, wear me out. And I'm sure Lance Lynn is going to be one of those guys that says, don't worry about me. I'll do what you need to do. I think that it is a really valuable commodity to have. That availability, those innings, those starts are maybe the most valuable commodity to have in baseball right now.
What would you say your biggest concern right now with where the starting rotation stands? Sonny Gray being your number one, Miles Michaelis being your number two and being able to bounce back after a down year, or Steven Matz staying healthy? At the moment,
I always like when the great Cardinal teams have always had a guy where when he pitched, you planned on winning. And I don't see that guy in this rotation right now, whether it was Bob Gibson or whether it was Andujar or whether it was Carpenter. The Cardinals' great teams have always had that win day guy. And I just don't see that guy right now.
I would say the health, to your point, Brooke, of Steven Matz. I want to see him. He's had 2 years now where he's been ineffective at times, hasn't been healthy. If you can get him to take the ball every fifth day, and when he's right, a good lefty, not great, but good, very serviceable, that would be my concern. Now, you can counter that and say, you got Zach Thompson coming, and Zach Thompson may push him in spring training, and it might be beneficial to have one or two of those guys in your bullpen. But I would just say that Matt's would be my concern. I want to see him make 35 or 30 starts.
We've got two things that I want to touch on here. If Matthew Liberatore isn't on your major league team coming out of spring training, should you just get rid of him and move on?
I think you need the depth. I understand where you're going, but I would insert him in my Memphis rotation, and I'd be very cautious because of the age of my rotation at the major league level to just say I'm done with pitching. Now, I understand where you're going with this. I do. He's been ineffective at times, and is it time to cut bait?
Because it kind of feels like if he doesn't make your team now, that it's not going to happen. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. You got him 5 years ago now.
Yeah, I just think you need the depth, though. He might be able to give you some innings, and I've seen a couple of starts where he's been really good. Majority of the time, it's not been great. Me personally, I would put him in the bullpen. I love his stuff coming out of the bullpen, and let it fly. And sometimes when you're a bullpen guy, you don't have time to think about the 4 days in between the starts. You're sitting on the bullpen. Ollie says, get him up, get him hot, and he's coming in the game. There isn't time to, just process all that. Just go in and pitch. I think there's talent there. It just hasn't come out.
I'm with you. I like Matthew Liberatore coming out of the pen. Now, I think it is very important, and what do you guys think about this? They need to establish those roles pretty early on, because I know that a lot of different things can happen here with the starting rotation and with the bullpen. Don't you think they need to establish Matthew Liberatore and Zach Thompson's roles pretty early on? One, if they're going to stay a starter or if they're going to the pen. I just don't want to see what we saw with Zach Thompson last season.
And that's one of the reasons that I wonder about Liberatore, because I don't think that they have figured out what he can be. He does, Dan, to your point, he's got an Andrew Miller feel, right? The way Andrew Miller started his career, and he never really got any footing as a starter, moves to the bullpen, and he's a stud. He's got that kind of a feel. But they, to your point, Brooke, they need to figure out what his identity is.
Bullpens are fickle. And that's something from year to year. It's tough to predict what's going to happen. But the one benefit with both those guys in Thompson and in Liberatore, they've done both. They've been starters. They've been relievers. Sometimes starters cannot graduate to the bullpen because they're creatures of habit of how they warm up, how they get loose, and then you ask them to do something completely different in the bullpen, they can't do it. At least these two guys have a history of doing that.
And I want Thompson to be stretched out. I think Thompson can be really, really good for you as a starter, and I want to see that happen. And I would love to see Liberatore pitch. He didn't even have to pitch like he did in Tampa when he had that sterling start last season. But if Matthew Liberatore can be a nice back-of-the-rotation guy, I'd love to see it.
I think the first, 2 weeks, they're talking about going to a six-man rotation.
Yes.
And one of those players would probably get a spot start and then move him to the bullpen. That, to me, looks like Zach Thompson territory there.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up here on 101 ESPN after our rush hour reset, we are going to head to the celebrity line, and maybe the biggest star we ever have on our show, Jeremy Rutherford, joins us next on 101 ESPN. Man, over the last 29 years, there are such great memories at Arch Madness at Enterprise Center, and it's coming back now for its 30th consecutive year, the State Farm Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Tournament, and it's March 7th through 10th over at Enterprise Center. You can get tickets now at archmadness.com. In fact, they've got an amazing family fun pack with 4 single-session tickets, 4 large sodas, 4 regular popcorns, and it's all for $100. And you can see some great local products like Donovan Clay of Alton, who plays for Missouri State, Luke Kasubke of Chaminade, who plays for Illinois State. Cardinal Ritter's Nick Ellington is at Murray State. Vashon's Kennard Davis Jr. is at SIU. And, man, there's so many good players and a league that is wide open. Now, Indiana State is rolling. They're 22-4, 13-2 in the conference. But Drake and Bradley both have a chance to come in and will be thought of as possibilities to win this tournament. But the cool thing is you never know. That's why it's called Arch Madness, because the basketball is great and there's always a surprise for you. Get tickets. It's March 7th through 10th, and you can get tickets now at archmadness.com.
Nuggets. It's time for the Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Dan and Randy, it is the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and our friend, the great Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider from The Athletic, joins us now on the Celebrity Line on 101 ESPN. Good morning, JR. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. How you guys doing? Hey, I want to tell you something here real quick is, you know, sports matter, and you guys know that. Your careers are in sports. And just a quick little story. I just dropped my 10-year-old, 11-year-old son, Eli, off at school, and you know, a couple months ago, we bought tickets for tonight's game, Blues in Edmonton, and he just got out of the car, and he looked at me, and he said, Dad, after school today, I'm going to see Connor McDavid. Like, how cool is that? So he's a massive, massive Blues fan, but, you know, when it comes to the superstars of the game, he's really looking forward tonight. I don't think he's going to be able to focus at school today.
Oh, he's going to have a hard time with that.
Welcome to my educational career.
How's Eli been doing, by the way?
Yeah, good. They got a tournament this weekend. Thanks, Brooke. Yeah, we made our way down to your neck of the woods down in Tennessee and brought some hardware home from there. So thanks for the tips on Tennessee. We ate at a couple of your spots.
Nice. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, good times. Wish we could have made it to a Titans game and painted our faces like your dad, but didn't have time for that.
Maybe another time, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, you have an article out right now on The Athletic where you have a Q&A with Torrey Krug, and I thought one part that was really interesting, it was a great article, by the way, where you talked to him about his no-trade clause that he invoked last summer, and now you asked him about the approach to the trade deadline. What did you find from Torrey Krug in that response?
Yeah, Brooke, so it's a 10-question Q&A with Torrey, and you get to about question 7 or 8, and you have to ask him about the situation coming up March 8th with the trade deadline after what happened last summer when he invoked the no-trade clause to prevent the trade to Philadelphia. And I thought his answer was, you know, not canned. Obviously, players are going to say something pretty similar to each other when asked that question, but he did say, hey, listen, I know this is a business, And you just have to have an open mind. And he said the bottom line is how you're playing, because if you're not playing well, neither your team nor any other team is going to want you. So the key there was, he said, just keep an open mind. And, you know, these players don't really know all the time what's going on behind the scenes themselves. So when general managers are working on a deal, does he know that Doug was working on the deal to Philadelphia? No, but then it's going to get brought to him and presented to him because he does have that no-trade protection. So he's just going to wait till things cross his desk and then make a decision what's best for him and his family.
You've been snooping around on the head coaching front here with the Blues. They're now 14-8-1 under Drew Bannister, 7-2-0 in their last 9. And, you know, you do wonder about his immediate future or maybe long-term. Are they going to go outside the organization? You've been... You know, you're a reporter, JR. You been snooping around on this or what?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you have conversations here and there, but I think that the way it looks to me, Dan, is that Doug is letting this play out. You know, they've had some success under Drew Bannister. I mean, could you make a change midseason still here and go with the guy who you think is the guy for the future? I suppose you could, but you know, I don't know that you necessarily want to rock the boat right now with the team trying to make the playoffs and the players responding to Drew. In fact, Torrey talks about that in the piece too. He really thinks that the guys are responding to Drew, and he said that he thinks that he can be a full-time NHL coach. So, you know, is anything imminent? Is Doug have a short list of 2 or 3 guys that he's ready to go to? No, I don't think that's the case right now. So I think that they're going to ride with Drew here and see where it takes them in terms of this playoff run, and then make a big decision here at the end of the year.
JR, if people have not read Pierre LeBrun's piece on Doug Armstrong at The Athletic, they should. I love the fact that Armstrong sees himself and acts as a mentor for younger general managers. And I knew that he had great relationships with other general managers, but I had no idea that he was helping bring the next crop of young general managers along, too.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the piece, Kyle Dubas, now in Pittsburgh, was in Toronto, has a long, great couple stories that he talks about Doug Armstrong in terms of, Dubas being young on the scene in Toronto and showing up at like World Championship events, and Doug kind of making sure he was part of the group and getting them out to dinner and so on and so forth. And, you know, I talked to Doug about some of that stuff several months ago when he was approaching some milestone games with the Blues. And another thing he told me, and, you know, I don't know if you've heard this one, but when a general manager gets fired, and we saw another one today, Jarmo Kekalainen, the former Blues amateur scouting director, he got let go in Columbus today. And what Doug told me that he does is he likes to call the person, you know, the day of, or at least send them a message and say, hey, you know, thinking about you, tough situation. You know, we've all been through it. Keep your head up. But then he said he likes 10 or 14 days to pass, and he'll reach out to him a second time in some instances and see how they're doing. So it's not just the initial, hey, everybody's thinking about you. It's really a couple weeks later, just make sure your head's still in a good spot. So, you know, I've heard a lot of good things from a lot of general managers around the league about Doug from that nature.
JR, when Jarmo left here, we were all really worried about where the Blues were headed because he did such a good job with the draft. Has his star dimmed from an evaluation standpoint?
I think you have to say that it has. I think that he's had his moments in Columbus. Obviously, they had that shocking series win over Tampa Bay. They've drafted some good players who've become good NHL players. They've acquired some players like a Johnny Gaudreau, even though he's not having success. Hey, you know, they got them to come to Columbus. But by and large, you know, I think that you have to say what's not happened in Columbus kind of is a reflection of the work there, you know, including John Davidson. And, you know, I know there's a lot of people here in St. Louis upset when John Davidson and Jarmo were essentially let go. And hey, it's a tough league, and it's hard to win. And even those guys tried, and they're good people. It didn't happen for them. And the Blues, you know, have had success since then. So, you know, decisions are made, and Tom Stillman and his group had to live with them. And I think they'd probably be happy with the decisions that they made.
JR, the Blues are currently in a wild card spot in the West. Why do you believe that this could be a playoff team?
Well, it's funny. I keep referencing that Torrey Krug story, but I actually asked him that specific question. Hey, Torrey, you tell me why you guys are a playoff team. And, you know, he says that I think we're a team that clubs aren't going to want to play in the postseason. And I said, tell me why. And he said, you know, he feels like they have the goaltending with Binnington and Hofer. and obviously that can carry you in the playoffs. But he feels like they have some guys with experience and that can change the game. So whether you believe that or not, that remains to be seen. I think they can do that on some nights. Brooke, can they do it in a playoff series? Like, is this team pesky enough? We see in some of these games that they are, but I got to tell you, as good of a trip as that was, and I was on the trip, I was in Buffalo, I was in Toronto, that Toronto game is a letdown. And when you have your captain after the game saying, hey, maybe we thought that the game was going to be a little bit easier without the Marners and the Tavareses in there. I mean, if we're still saying that towards the end of the season, I don't think you like that when you hear that. I know Drew Bannister didn't like it, and he said that there's lack of energy. So we're talking a lack of energy with 9 games left before the trade deadline. So is it a one-off and they come back flying tonight against Edmonton, 4-game homestand? Could be the case, but to me, big picture, you like that road trip, but you don't like the way it ended.
618 says, Jeremy, just as cool with the older kids going to watch Connor McDavid. Mine are 29 and 27. Excited as hell to be going tonight. My first game in 5 years. Is it hard to have a face of the league from Edmonton, as opposed if the face of the league, and it might be Connor Bedard at some point with Chicago, but if they're not from L.A. or New York or Chicago, is it tough to have a face of the league from a Canadian city where maybe the casual fan isn't really paying attention?
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope that person didn't drop their 29-year-old off at school today, like I did. but I think that's been a question, ever since he's been in the league. Like, as soon as Edmonton won that draft lottery, Dan, and you knew Connor was going to Edmonton, obviously Gretzky was there and all the lore of that legend. But, would the league like a Connor McDavid to be in a major city and perhaps even a U.S. city? I'm sure. But, it does bring the spotlight to a franchise like Edmonton, out west, where, do you watch all the games? No, but if Connor McDavid's playing, you're going to tune in. I think it would be a bigger problem if you had 2 or 3 of those types of players in places like that. But, now you have a Connor Bedard in Chicago. You've got some players in New York and Toronto, of course, Austin Matthews in Toronto. So, I think you're not going to have all the players in those types of franchises that you're looking for, Dan. So the fact that he's in Edmonton, I think he's going to be a draw wherever he landed.
JR, have fun tonight. There's nothing like those unforgettable evenings where your kids get to experience something like yours is going to experience tonight. So have a great time. Thanks so much for your time this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep, thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it. That's Jeremy Rutherford with us here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, one of the storied high school records in Missouri can fall tonight. We're going to talk to the coach of the team that can set that record next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City, and it's over 100 years old. We really love it, but we didn't exactly love our bathroom. And this is the first time we've ever done a major project like this, and we really didn't know where to start. So we reached out to one of our great sponsors here at 101 ESPN, and that is EMB Granite. EMB Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they sketched out a vision of how to really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with EMB Granite was stopping by their showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, cabinet options. They have so many options there. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she has just been fantastic. She had a lot of great ideas already ready for us and that also fit within our budget. Their friendly and experienced team has been turning visions into realities for over 20 years. So schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online to embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom and make sure that you mention I sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Your St. Louis Blues back in action tonight, hosting the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN, your home for the St. Louis Blues. And if you want to hear more Blues talk, you can go back to our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast as the Hall of Famer Bernie Federko and the Blues insider for The Athletic joined Danny, Randy, and Brooke here today on the show. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Randy Carricker, great to have you with us on 101 ESPN. The Incarnate Word basketball team last lost a game on February 8th of 2020. Here we are on February 15th of 2024, and they have won at Incarnate Word 123 consecutive games. Tonight against Ursuline, they're going for the Missouri State record of 124 consecutive wins. And the Incarnate Word head coach, Dan Rolfes, joins us now on 101 ESPN. Coach, thanks so much for your time this morning. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you, Dan. And you have such a fantastic fan base. Tom Dolan is one of my best friends. Patrick Keeley here is a buddy. And obviously Maggie, formerly Maggie Tozlowski, now Maggie Hetty is an alum. You have such a great history. How big is, with all the championships that you guys have won at Incarnate Word, how big is what's happening tonight for you?
Yeah, no, it's big. Obviously, to win that many games in a row means a lot to me in our program and the consistency that we have. But at the end of the day, our ultimate goal every year is to win a state championship. So, and we've happened to win a lot of games along the way.
Well, Dan, as we were just talking about all the success that you guys have had, how are you able to continue to replicate that success year after year after year with so many different changes and girls coming in and out?
Yeah, I just think that, it's kind of a reflection of our program, the consistency that we have. The kids that come in and play know the success of our program and the expectations, and they're willing to buy in. I've been fortunate to be at Incarnate Word. This is my 24th year, so the groundwork's been laid and the expectations are laid, and I'm lucky our kids buy in, and it's just a great environment for me to coach in.
Hey, Dan, great to visit with you. I know that you get everybody's best. So everybody says, let's knock them off. Let's make sure you're getting their Super Bowl. So how do you make sure that your kids are prepared for those kind of games night in and night out?
Yeah, for sure. You're exactly right, Dan. It's just, we try to prepare for every game the exact same way, through our walkthroughs, our scouts, our film work. And we approach the very first game of the year and the state championship the exact same way. So, again, just try to be as consistent as we possibly can. And honestly, when we get everybody's best game, we are everybody's Super Bowl. But that, in turn, is what makes us great. We're challenged on a nightly basis. And then by the time it gets to playoff time, we've seen what everybody's got, and I think that's a big reason for our success.
There's a lot of people talking on the outside about this streak. Do you as a team ever talk about this streak?
No, obviously everybody knows what's going on, and there's not been one time when we said, we got to win this one more to do, so-and-so. And honestly, no one really even knew it was happening until Steve Overbay from the Post-Dispatch approached me, towards the end of the last year and said, "Hey, Dan, you're around 80-something wins in a row." And I said, "Oh, really? That's, great." And then it got closer to the playoff time, and then it got near the state championship, and Steve says, "Well, hey, if you win a state championship and go undefeated, it'll be exactly 100 wins in a row." So, and we did that, and it was 100 wins in a row, and that was pretty awesome way to end the year.
And Dan, one of the books I read was about John Wooden, and apparently John Wooden never talked to his team about winning. It was always about getting the most out of an individual, getting the most out of himself, and the team as a group getting the most out of themselves. How much, because of the history that we talked about at Incarnate Word, how much do you even talk about winning?
The only thing that we talk about winning is winning a state championship and everything that leads up to that. As far as our travel and our schedule and what we try to do to prepare for that. But the only thing we stress, and that every year I have a preseason meeting with all of our kids and ask them their expectation, and without a doubt, every single one of them says to win a state championship. So that's been our main goal, and that's what our focus is. And, obviously we want to win every single game, but at the end of the day, we want to win a state championship.
Dan, you mentioned 24 years at Incarnate Word with all the great success and state titles that you've had. Why stay there when maybe you've had opportunities to jump to college or other places? I know you love where you're at, but why do you stay there?
I just love the role and the position that I'm at, and I love Incarnate. It's a great place to be. It's great families. I've met a lot of great people in my 24 years, and the text I'm getting from players that I've coached 20 years ago, and I actually just jumped on Facebook for the first time ever last week, and I'm getting a ton of messages, and it's just a great environment, and I'm happy there. I see myself there for a long time, and it's just been good for me, and the kids I get are special, and they buy in, so it's hard to leave.
Of course, it's a full team effort, but tell me about your senior forward, Kaylin Janes, and how big she's been this season for you guys.
Yeah, no, we've, and that's what's great about the streak. It's not just, a one player, for 4 years who dominated, or, one particular team. What's been great is that we've had multiple players come through the last 4 years and contribute to the success. But Kaylin she's a great kid, a great leader, just a super super person, puts a ton of time in the gym. There's very few mornings that I'm not strolling into school and she's not in the gym getting shots up. So she puts a heck of a lot of time in, and she's a Division I player going to Northern Iowa next year, and just a really, really good shooter for us.
Dan, what do you think Caitlin Clark at Iowa has done for women's basketball?
Man, it's been fantastic. She's, seeing that she's going to, quite possibly break the record tonight, and the sellout crowds that she's bringing to every stadium that she comes to, just the awareness of her in women's college basketball. I mean, it's been fantastic. I actually, one of my juniors was at Nebraska visiting there, and I have a player, a freshman, Natalie Potts, at Nebraska. So we were watching that game pretty intensely on Sunday when they beat Iowa. So that was pretty cool to see. But to see what Caitlin Clark has done and the awareness that she's brought of women's basketball is fantastic.
Hey, Dan, I hope you're able just to kind of look around and savor things and take it in tonight. Good luck against Ursuline and in getting the record. And I know the big thing for you is once the postseason hits, getting to that another state championship at Incarnate Word. Thanks so much for the time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Take care. Dan Rolfes, he's the head coach at Incarnate Word. And with all due respect to all of the great basketball programs, boys and girls in the St. Louis area.
It's not even close.
That's the one.
Yeah. Well, he's also running with others in basketball, boys and girls, a program that is a feeder for all the high schools. So he starts when they're real little guys, little girls, and is able to coach. He coaches year round. And so he's really made a difference on the basketball scene here in St. Louis.
I remember when I was covering high school basketball and I went to my first game of theirs, I was like, oh, this is a whole different level here. So he's done such a wonderful job, and it's not hard to see why they've had so much success year after year after year.
I did a behind the scenes like almost a half-hour show where he gave us everything behind the scenes. So we put a mic on him in the locker room. We had him mic'd up in the huddles. I mean, he gets after these kids. He's tough, man. He's very tough, but the kids respect him. They listen, and you know what? He's making them better.
They wind up getting scholarships.
Absolutely.
That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we're going to head down the stretch. We've got Luke Bryan tickets to give away today. And if you'd like to get some Luke Bryan tickets, all you have to do is text in. And you can see Luke Bryan when he comes to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater on July 28th.
Luke Bryan.
Luke Bryan coming to St. Louis. St. Louis.
Will you go to that concert, Randall?
Probably. Yeah, it's July 28th. I'm not going over to Rams training camp at Rams Park, I'll tell you that.
You can pencil it into your schedule.
You'll be available.
I will be available. Well, let's see where the Cardinals are. Well, no, I'll be available.
Good.
You'll make time for
July
Luke Bryan.
28th, yeah, I'll be available. There's some people that you might not expect to be available on July 28th that will be for that concert. We're going to give away tickets next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club so much. One, I had 2 big goals for myself this year, and that is getting back in shape and also getting back into tennis, the sport I've played my entire life. And thanks to the Missouri Athletic Club, I'm able to accomplish both of those goals. I work out twice a week with Christine. She's my girl. She's been awesome. I'm seeing huge results from working out with her, and I've also got back into tennis thanks to Scott, and it's been so much fun. They've been so kind and helpful, and they always provide a wonderful experience, and that's why I love my MAC.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Y'all know my favorite country star is Luke Bryan. It is Luke Bryan. Well, okay, back in the day it was George Strait.
Okay, I like that one a little bit better. Nothing against Luke Bryan, but definitely a difference between the two.
I've got some oceanfront property.
What about Garth Brooks?
Arizona.
Oh, yes. Garth
Love
Brooks.
Garth.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm a big Chris Stapleton fan. I know that he's coming. Oh, I love Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Well, Luke Bryan is coming to town on July 28th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, and 101 ESPN has your chance to score a pair of lawn tickets to see Luke and hang out on the lawn. You can also find a bonus chance to register to win tickets to Luke Bryan at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. But right now, all you need to do is text in to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO for your chance to win. Luke Bryan
There's something
tickets.
a little bit off about that yo-ho. I can't put my finger on it.
How about if I do yo-ho?
There you go.
You're kind of like Fonzie in swim trunks right now.
Uh-oh, I'm jumping the shark.
You're jumping the shark.
It's your chance to win free tickets to the show.
All right, here's the trivia
how
question.
How do people win it?
We're going to go with the trivia question today. This is actually was going to be the tiebreaker for the fight, and I love it so much I just want to use it today.
Okay.
Because I think it's fascinating. I found it out doing some research for the Edgar Renteria question.
Hope it wasn't the same research that had the 10 teams that didn't win the championship.
Nope.
Just saying.
No, sir.
That's a shot. You ought to see when hold on, Matthew.
I beefed the question. It happens.
You ought to see during the fight how nervous Matthew is. He starts going back and forth.
But here's the thing.
He's nervous.
Every producer that I've had at 101 ESPN says the hardest thing is coming up with questions for the fight. Would you agree with this?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
Especially when people on the text line then bitch when I throw out things like, "Hey, let's talk about the Big Four leagues," and one person's mad that I throw out a question that has too many answers, and one person's mad that I called it the Big Four leagues because we have an MLS team now.
I didn't see that text. I'm sorry. So I have a great affinity for what Matthew does, and I think 99.9% of the time I'm patient. You remember the times that I'm not.
Yes.
But I would say that because I have tortured Anthony. I have tortured Michelle. I definitely tortured some of the other producers that aren't here anymore. So,
why aren't they here anymore? Oh, no, I'm kidding. they had enough.
Everything.
Yeah. We had one guy that quit day of. He just said, I can't do this anymore, and quit day of.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
You're lying. Are you serious?
It was during the pandemic. I was such a Richard, too. No, I wasn't a Richard to him. Maybe I was. But here's the thing that happened. So, I'm out playing golf. I was at Fox Run. I was playing the 13th hole at Fox Run. And I get a phone call from Michelle and says, "You won't believe this. Our producer quit." I said, "Oh, yeah, did he give 2 weeks?" She said, "No, he came home and his girlfriend was crying because he was gone. And so he just said, I'm not coming back."
Oh.
Other jobs would probably require you to be there.
Yeah. So I was pissed, as you might imagine.
Yes.
But then it's in the middle of a pandemic. Here I am, healthy, and I finished 13, and it's a long drive from 13 to 14 at Fox Run. And I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? Here I am, healthy. I'm playing golf at an elite golf course. I've got a great job where I just go in and goof around in the morning. And I'm mad because this little guy left a day of. Talk about somebody having only first world problems, right? Millions of people are dying around. And here I am out playing golf on a beautiful day in St. Louis, and I'm mad at that. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm not going to get mad about this stuff anymore.
You know, the craziest thing I look at back on golf during the pandemic, don't touch the flag.
Oh, yeah.
And then the ball, the cup, you had to lift a little thing that would bring the ball. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah. All right, so we got a question for Luke Bryan tickets.
We do. In the 21st century, since the 2000 season, what is the lowest stolen base count that has ever led the Cardinals for a season?
Individual or the team?
Individual. What is the lowest stolen base count that has led the Cardinals in the last 25 seasons? Jesus, Randy, you're close. No one saw that on the camera, so I was okay with saying that. What is the lowest stolen base count that has led the Cardinals for a season in the last 24 seasons? And the whoever gets that one right on, and again, it is a pretty low number. Whoever gets that right on will be the winner of the tickets today.
And I can get 10, tickets, wasn't it?
There are 2 seasons with 10. There's 1 season with 11, but those are not the lowest seasons. There's one even below that.
How about that? I'm going to say 110. 110.
The lowest.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. Now you're starting to get sarcastic.
Yeah, I am.
Don't do it, Randy.
I am.
Stay on point.
I am sarcastic about the running game.
Stay on point.
I like the running game. All right, what else do we have in rock and roll here?
One of the things. So you guys remember Isaiah Stewart, and if you don't remember Isaiah Stewart, you might have remembered the video when Isaiah Stewart, the center for the Detroit Pistons, was hell-bent on getting to LeBron James. Do you guys remember that video a year ago in the NBA where he was trying to tear through the entire support staff of both teams to get to LeBron James? Well, unfortunately, Drew Eubanks does not have the kind of security that LeBron James has because Isaiah Stewart met him behind in the back of the arena yesterday before the Pistons and Suns played. They went face-to-face, and Stewart clocked him. Stewart punched him directly in the face, and he was arrested, and he's going to be charged for assault. He was released on the premises. Drew Eubanks was, quote-unquote, injured by the punch. He did go out and play 18 minutes for the Suns that game, but Isaiah Stewart maybe needs to work on the anger a little bit.
I would say so, yeah.
Like, I thought when he was tearing through everyone to try to get LeBron, I laughed at it, but then when it escalates to him then walking up to a player who, again, does not have 40 people between him and the player, and he actually punches the dude before the game, you got to reel that one in there, buddy.
He's just got to go through the Draymond Green course, you know?
Good point.
You just go through that, that program that they have there. It works, right?
It does work.
Yeah.
A little counseling, anger management.
It clearly is working. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And one other thing, are you guys going to watch? Iowa tonight?
Yes, I am.
Kalen Clark goes for it.
Yep, I am. I always liked Drew Eubanks on the Newlywed Game, by the way. I thought he was really
great.
Very different Drew Eubanks.
He was great.
He's forward for the Suns now. He's not that old. If Isaiah Stewart punched that guy, oh my God.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
And Isaiah Stewart was great.
No, also, I don't think it's going to be. No, that's
Jimmy
that's
Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
You're thinking Jimmy Stewart because you want to go back to Christmas.
No, we were talking.
I know where you're going.
We were doing the old, the Star Trek. I could have sworn that was Isaiah Stewart, the bald guy.
I'm just proud of you for calling it Star Trek.
It's 10.
Like you could have gotten a 2 for there. You could have gotten Patrick Stewart, and you could have said Star Wars like you usually do, and that really could have got it. By the way, do not make that mistake.
Mike Ryder's day.
Do not make that mistake tomorrow when Robert Thomas is on. He's a big Star Wars fan. Don't do that, Randy.
Okay, well,
9:54. Josh Ennis.
We got a balloon party with Josh coming up.
Yeah. Maybe we should turn things over.
Yeah.
Do head out right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do have quite a show tomorrow because we've got Jay in the morning. We've got Joey V. Everybody's in the morning because we're only on from 7 to 10.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have Jay Delsing. We're gonna have Joey Vitale. We're gonna have Robert Thomas. And we're going to have Matt Seebeck from St. Louis City SC with a big announcement for City SC that they're going to make right here on this very.
He's coming in studio, right?
He is. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay.
One of my favorites.
Very excited.
Must be right up your alley there, Rocc.
Looking forward to it.
I'm pumped for it.
City SC is right around the corner, so be ready for that. We're looking forward to it. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure. By the way, we got a correct answer. The correct answer was 7 when Colton Wong and Stephen Piscotty tied for the Cardinals lead.
Wow.
I believe that was 2018.
Lincoln Brew.
What did you have, Randy?
Wow. I had 8.
That was close.
It was so close.
Really
yeah.
Back in my day, Lonnie Smith had 5 in a game.
Yeah. Things have changed just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. Brooke, did you have fun today?
Of course.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
As always, spectacular work by the great Dan McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Randy.
you, brother.
You're spectacular.
Well, thank you. That's
bet,
nice
buddy.
of you to say.
You bet.
We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We do have a balloon party with Josh coming up, followed by BK and Ferrario, and then from 2 to 6, you got a fast lane with the whole crew in, Jamie and Carrie and Anthony. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7, have a great Friday Eve, everyone.
And now for something completely different.